Hello, everybody. We're here. I'm here. I think that went pretty well. I remembered to unmute my mic, which is a good thing. I got the chat up, so I apologize for last night. You guys let me know if I'm too loud. I didn't pay very good attention to the chat last night, so I'm working on that and trying to get the sound all straightened away so I'm not blowing your guys' ear out. So let me know if I am. It's a little touchy on this side, believe it or not. Anyway, all right, got some good stuff for tonight. I got a little bit of presentation to go through at the beginning. We've had some action over the last 24 hours with the ballers in regards to perspective. A lot of chat in the Discord. A lot of stuff to cover. Good stuff. Got some pretty funny stuff, actually. And then we've got some people waiting in Discord right now. I see F. Evangelist. We'll get to him in a minute. And let's see who is in chat. We got Paige. Hey, Paige. Got Ian Adams. What's up, Ian? Plain Truth. Travis. YouTube. Josh Globe Smashed. Time to get crazy. Hell yeah. Steve Hamilton. Hey, Steve. We've got Rachie. Hey, Rachie. And let's see who else we got. Flat for Life. How you doing, Flat for Life? Unruly. Thanks for showing up. And let's get to the presentation. I'm going to open up the Discord actually to start off with, since there is only a couple of people in there. And F. Evangelist can probably provide some pretty good feedback on what I'm going to present. And we can go from there. So let me open that up here and unmute it so you guys can hear him. Hey, Effie, how's it going?
Hey, Brandon. Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
Not bad. What's been going on? Anything interesting over the last 24 hours?
Oh, I've been driving for the last couple of hours, and I just rewatched yesterday's show. And yeah, of course, I wouldn't be touching my phone while I'm driving, but if I was, I may have been researching some figures based on what Rumpus was carrying on about yesterday with NASA's budget and percentages of GDP and all that sort of nonsense. And from what I can ascertain, like in 1965, American GDP was $750 billion or something like that. Yeah, have you got any idea what it is today? I just did a quick search, and it's like 25 trillion or something like that. But do you know what the current figure is?
No, I don't know it off the top of my head. How much did you say? Something trillion?
Yeah, 21 trillion or like it's a phenomenal number. My point, and I need to look into a little bit more, but
you're right, 21.43 trillion. Sorry to interrupt you, for 2019.
Okay, so it's a big number. So my point that I was trying to kind of wrap my head around was, and this is what Rumpus does. What they all do. They just throw out these quick numbers, and everyone goes, "Oh yeah, okay, well that makes sense because we're only spending 0.5% compared to 5% that Kennedy was spending back then, allegedly." But if you look at the size of the economy, it's not apples for apples, because the US economy, the world was a different place. It would have been a lot more domestically based, whereas now there's so much more international trade. The population's so much bigger, earnings are so much, relatively they're larger. So that quick snapshot of percentage to percentage isn't actually a true indication of the money that's being spent. So, we might flesh it out a bit further, but that whole excuse as to why we're not going to the moon because there's not enough money being thrown at it, I just think it's absolute garbage, like everything they say.
Oh yeah, couldn't agree more. And the thing is, I've heard for the last, I don't know, couple years since they announced that they were going to go in 2024, just wait till 2024. Now they're hanging their hat on, wait until we have commercial space flight and people start coming back and saying it's a globe. Like, we all know we've been waiting for that for 20 or 30 years. So it's kind of a joke, just government propaganda to get everybody excited.
Yeah, spot on. And that 2024 date, that was being thrown around only a couple of years ago. It's not like that was in 2010. that wasn't very long ago at all. Oh, 2024. And I giggled and thought, yeah, isn't that coincident? That'll just get the government through the end of the next election cycle, 2024. Re-elect us and we'll get you there by the end of that election cycle.
Of course. And they figure, well, we'll probably have a new president by then. We will have a new president in 2024 for sure. Yeah. So we can just blame it on, the new president.
Can just change.
Yeah. So yeah, it's the same old game. I see we got Travis the Plain Truth joined us. What's up?
Hello. What ho?
Hey, Travis.
Yeah, I saw you out there. I saw you out there in chat. How's the audio sound tonight? Okay.
Yeah. I was listening to YouTube until I just signed on Discord, so everything that I was listening to sounded
cool. Try not to blow everybody's ear out tonight. Awesome. Okay. Anything you got for us, Travis, before I get in this presentation? I do have some slides to show you guys.
I'm just going to reiterate the fact that Crow still needs to show us where he gets his values from. I don't think that our conversation can go, or needs to, or should go any farther than holding them to the reality that they don't have those measurements. So.
No, I agree with you. And the reason I'm pushing this harder is I have been studying this so much lately, and I'm kind of building up to something. And I just want to nail down these fundamentals before I get into that. So, but yeah, I completely agree with you. We've seen no evidence from that side. They just keep passing around the same lame thing and insisting that they know the distances, yada, yada. So nothing new there. That's for sure. All right, let me get into this. So we're going to talk today about perspective space versus Euclidean space. And I'm going back to this same... let me share this with you guys 1 second. So you can see it on Discord. Excuse me, guys. False start there. And do you guys see it? Probably not. Okay.
Not yet.
All right, there we go.
Okay,
shared it. You should see it pretty soon. And
yeah, I got it.
Looks like it's fairly big in YouTube. Let me see if I can make that bigger for you guys real quick so you can see it better. Bam, look at that. It's almost like I know what I'm doing. Okay. So this is the same thing that we've been looking at the last couple nights. I did catch one mistake on my diagram here, which was I had 10,000 kilometers here instead of 5,000. The height is 5,000 in this diagram. And I added a couple of ballers who have since signed on to this, WS and B-Ball for Life. And of course, CrowXE yesterday stood behind this as well. So nothing changed here. Just wanted to reiterate that this is kind of the thing we're talking about. Overnight, I had a back and forth with WS, who spends a lot of time in our Discord server. And he sent me a very similar diagram with this little man here. Is that the guy from that cartoon, that science cartoon? I think so. Anyway, looking up at a building. So it's the same exact thing. And then he's got the angular measurements for the different positions down here, similar to what we're talking about with Polaris. So that's what this is all about. My question was, show me how it would look if it didn't include perspective, because he insists that this does include perspective. And yeah,
that's what he was telling me as well.
Yeah. So, that doesn't add up for me. And I'm going to show you why that doesn't add up for me. And he says, well, it's not possible to show it without perspective. And we had some more back and forth regarding that, trying to pin him down. But what we're looking at here is commonly referred to as an orthographic view, or Muppet vision, as was coined over on the Nathan Oakley show. It is a side view. It is not a perspective view. It is the type of view you would use if you were going to lay something out for plans to build it, engineering plans, etc. So this is called the orthographic view. The features of the orthographic view is the reduction in angular size is not linear, as it is in perspective. And I'll show you that in a minute. So this building, no matter how far this man walks back, he walks here, he walks here, he walks here, This is going to stay the same size on the paper. His angle to the top is going to change, but this is never going to change from this side view. We don't see like this. We don't see an orthographic view. We see in perspective when we go back and forth to an object, or an object travels away from us or comes towards us.
You know, it would be really snappy.
What?
Is if you could move that guy to each of those degrees and have the building change as you move it. That would be cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That way you can show, that way as you move the guy to the left to the 78.2, 66.4, as you move him to the left, the building then adjusts and goes to angular size.
Yeah, it's a
so
good.
As you move him farther and farther away, I mean, I would totally dig that. But this is great stuff that what you're doing. I'm just thinking out loud. That's all.
No. That's a good suggestion. Okay, so that's orthographic. A couple other things on orthographic view. This is what it looks like from the man's point of view if we were to translate that into a head-on view. The building is always the same side. The man moves back and forth. The horizon never changes. No matter how far back this man moves from this building, the building never gets smaller. It always has the same geometric profile ahead of us. Because this is not a perspective drawing. The angle to the bottom of the building is always 0 degrees. This is always sitting directly on top of the horizon. As you can see up here, this is the horizon. This is the bottom of the building. And all of the building is always above the horizon. The vanishing point is infinite. No matter how far this guy backed up, just like we were talking about yesterday, he could go 10 times this far. This building is never going to recede into the vanishing point. Okay, so
the only correlation between that picture and reality is the bottom of the building, which is always at 0 degrees. In reality, the top of the building will eventually become 0 degrees as well, but on the picture, it never will.
Well, actually, no, I'm going to have to disagree with you. I want to show you a little perspective thing that I did today. I went out and took some pictures of this little free library that we have in the neighborhood just to kind of get something that I could move back from. And this is obviously the closest. This is the furthest. And you'll see if you look at this free library, and this is the same for buildings or trees or anything. You can see the tree will follow the same thing. The horizon is right here. There's a part of this that is above the horizon, and there is a huge portion of it that is below the horizon. Now, this is a very small object, but that same thing applies to bigger objects as well. So here's the horizon. You can also see that as we recede away from the object, the top lowers down and the horizon line rises relative on the object. The bottom comes up and the top goes down. So it literally decreases in the amount of space it takes up within our field of view. Yeah. And then if we backed up far enough.
So what you're saying, when we back up far enough, the top of the building, I can't see your picture because it's too small on my screen, but the top of the building or the tree or whatever it is will eventually become equal to the horizon. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain point everything will recede into the vanishing point, and I'm going to show you a little more.
Yeah, that's what I meant when I said it becomes 0 degrees. That's what I was trying to communicate, that in orthographic view, that top of the building or the tree is always way above ground level, but to our vision, eventually ground level and the top of the building or the tree becomes the same point.
Yep. They all kind of meld into that vanishing point. In fact, everything,
yeah, so
even
that's where I said 0 degrees, but I probably explained it wrongly by saying at 0 degrees, but sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So here you'll see that it's so small, it's essentially at 0 degrees. We can't see the real horizon in this picture, but trust me, this is pretty close. Yeah. And when we're talking about Polaris anyway, 0 degrees does not come into the equation because below 15 degrees, they don't trust the reading because of refraction and visibility and whatever else reasons. So we're really just talking about well above that. So that quickly got down to that level. So this is not a perspective drawing. It's not how we see the world. Would you guys agree with that statement?
Completely.
Yeah. Okay. Instead of backing away from the building, say we're looking at the top end of a really long building. Say this building is like miles long. So this kind of just shows the absurdity of this. So we're looking up at this corner. Does this represent what we would see in reality if we look down this building from down here? Absolutely not. We'd see something more like this, where the building would look like it physically got shorter as it receded into the background towards the vanishing point, and eventually the end of that building, if it was a long enough building, would recede so far that it was literally into the vanishing point.
Okay, so just to be devil's advocate, can you go back to the previous slide? So I was trying to envisage what you're depicting here. So I had this guy at the corner of the building here, like his left foot is flush with the building, and he's looking up at the very far top.
Yeah,
but I guess what I'm doing right now is I'm conflating, which is I suppose part of the discussion. I'm conflating the way we're looking at it here straight on, and the way that you have it corrected in the next image below. I think I understand what you're doing with this. I was trying to see if I was missing something, and now as I'm talking my way through it, I think I understand. But is that where you have this guy? Do you have him flush next to the building, or do you have him, I guess, in the middle of the street looking at the corner of this building, or does it really matter? I guess now it doesn't matter.
Well, it really doesn't matter. Yes,
a whole lot.
You could say he's on
okay.
this.
I get what you're doing now. I caught up. I caught up. Okay.
You could say he's kind of standing where this camera is, or over here. It'd be about the same thing with a different angle, possibly.
Yeah, when you look at those two pictures, Brandon, the difference between the orthographic view and what we actually observe with our eyes is so blatantly undeniable that for them to then somehow maintain their position of that orthographic view as being a viable argument, it just beggars belief that you can try and use one to debunk the other when they're so clearly not the same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it too. Like you may be able to look at someone, I don't know when you would do this, from say across a long expanse and see them in somewhat of this position. Like you may be able to witness this right here, but that's not what we measure when we're measuring angular size, or when we're using a sextant to measure the angles to Polaris. We are always measuring from the first person straight forward. We're not measuring from the sides. Yeah. So why are we looking at a side view to talk about how we see Polaris with our eyes? So I had B-Ball send me a link, and it was supposedly a debunk link, I think, but it actually supported my position. It was an article about Blender, about the difference between perspective view and orthographic view. And you can see on the screen in this article, it describes the two. And I'll just read it out for the audience's sake. Perspective view is view with parallax. The real world view that your eyes are currently seeing is perspective-based view. It depends upon the line of sight of the viewer. Well, in Blender, perspective view can be seen during rendering. Now we're talking about, fake reality within a machine. But anyway, this still supports our position. In animation, the sole purpose of perspective view is to give you an idea about what it would look like in real life. Orthographic view is a view without parallax error. So the two are not equal. It represents three-dimensional structures in terms of two-dimensional screen. It's not a real-world view. Rather, it's a view that is good for engineering applications, creating three-dimensional models where accuracy is in demand, because there will be no parallax error. Simply saying orthographic view doesn't have perspective distortion. While using Blender, you can use orthographic view to model objects, blah, blah, blah. So I thought that was pretty funny. That was kind of a little own goal on B-Ball's part. And here's a picture of, or here's a little video of him sending this to me. Bam! Uh-oh, wrong hoop. Oh, shit. He's going to blame his teammate. There we go. He actually stuck by it and said that I was the dumb one for not understanding why that article supported his position. So I'd love B-Ball to come on and explain, if he has the opportunity, why that supports his position. Anyway, so I also found this great papers from this PhD named Casper Erkelins. And this guy is studying this exact subject. And he essentially says pretty much what I just said, that Euclidean geometry is not the same as perspective space, how we see. So I'll read you this one, which is pretty interesting. From just looking at a straight railroad line or road, it is obvious that perspective is present in visual perception of real three-dimensional scenes and thus a property of visual space. Actually, it is odd that visual space is such a deformed representation of physical space. In view of plasticity of cortical maps, I don't know what that is, not that important to the discussion, I don't think. One would expect that visual space would adapt to long-term and systematic deviations from physical space. Apparently, adaptation does not occur. Instead, human beings have both perspective and Euclidean representations of physical space at their disposal. For example, we see on the one hand that a road narrows in front of us, but on the other hand, we are confident that it does not. Meaning, we see the road narrow, but we know in our heads from our experience with roads that those roads are parallel, but that's not what we see. The availability of different representation gives human beings the possibility to answer questions about spatial relationships in different ways. For instance, what is the angle between rails of a railroad track or between the lane dividers of a road? One answer expresses properties of visual space, whereas the other may express experience with physical space in general and knowledge of rails and roads in particular. One is a model and one is the reality that we see with our eyes. He's got all kinds of great stuff in this paper. I'll link it in the Discord if anybody's interested in it. But he shows these blue dots on these diagrams are the actual positions, and these gray dots are the eyes. And he shows how the user would perceive it. So he did some experiments where he had the people place the objects where they saw them as opposed to where they were, and came up with this. You have to read it to get the details. But you can see the two differ drastically. And this one in particular shows that there's a vanishing point for perspective. These red dots right here, he's showing that the vanishing point is finite. It is not infinite. With the blue dots and in physical space, the vanishing point is infinite. Here you can see the difference. Here you can see the difference. Here, this shows an angular difference. These two are at 90-degree angles. These two are not, 63 and 117. So it distorts even the angles of what you see. This is experimental evidence that perspective is not the same as orthographic view or physical space. So one last thing, and then I'll open up the discussion, read some text and open up the discussion. Perspective is so familiar property of visual perception that it seems totally unremarkable for both laymen and scholars. Only very recently, perspective space was considered as a model of visual space, although replacing infinite vanishing points in Euclidean space by finite vanishing points in perspective space may seem a minor operation. The geometry of perspective space is considerably different from that of Euclidean space. Angles and distances are not invariant under translation and rotation as they are in Euclidean space. A common property of both spaces is that they are flat. Shout out Flat Earth. Properties of perspective space have been investigated here, yada, yada. So really interesting papers. I found the second one last night and I was like, holy shit, this is a gold mine. But let me read the super chats and then we'll get your guys' reactions. All right. We did have one super chat. Let me get to that. Sorry for the delay there. And that was from, hold on just one second. And I will read this. That was from Rhett Priestley. Thanks, Rhett. Hi, Brendan and all. Thanks for looking after Randy's fort. Our pleasure. Thanks again, Rhett. All right. So what do you guys think about those quotes from that paper? I see that Gleam joined as well. Hey, Gleam.
Yeah, I am well versed in this whole topic. This is my love. After Galaxy Rotation Curve, this is my love. And B-Ball only knows anything and is only citing you anything which I have cited him to debunk him. And you are 100% correct. Orthographic view removes all perspective effects or distortions, let's say. Yep, your standard geometric relationship works, but what it was, you've got this quote up at the moment, and that guy Erklands is actually working and operating from a thing called the Galinsky equation. And what Galinsky did is it's purely a eye thing. So this is not to do with a camera at the moment, but purely to do with an eye. What she did is she done empirical tests and literally said to somebody, I'm going to put a ball, let's say, 10 meters away, 20 meters away, 30 meters away, etc., etc. Now you've got to tell me how far you think that is away. And there was a common error where people were always underestimating the distance as the further it got. The further it got, the worse it got. And they even tested this where you're sat down position, stood up and stood on a chair. And same, they noticed this pattern that people were always getting it wrong. Later on, that was back in 1951, I think it was. Later on in the 80s, even the army cottoned on because they got their grenaders and they were always firing too short of the target. And their stadiometric ranging device on the top of it had to be modified to account for this exact error. Now, obviously, that doesn't matter for a camera. However, there are equal effects that go on in a camera which you cannot neglect, which are perspective effects regardless. But this is my baby. I could probably pull up 60 to 70 papers on this exact topic, including the whole breakdown of Erkland's model, which is actually really good. I can share some if you wish.
Oh yeah, here you go. Go ahead, Gleam. Yeah, I knew you've given me a lot of links on this too, and you know, I've been looking into Polaris for quite a while. In fact, I think we've had some exchanges on it before. So anything you have to bring to the table, that'd be awesome. Let's hear if anybody else has any reactions to the presentation, and then while you get your stuff ready. Travis,
I just had a question. Yeah, I just had a question. And if you could go back up to the above slide.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do those dots represent? So to me, that's code. Like, I don't know what I'm looking at. Like, what is that?
So this
what
is.
Are the...
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
This is like a plane of physical space. This is the eye position. These two little gray dots down here at the bottom of each frame. And the blue dots are where the object is in physical space along the plane.
All right, I'm sorry. What are the blue dots though? Like, what is the object? What do they represent? I get the concept, right? I get the abstraction. But so are we looking down, let's say, for instance, like those two dots you said are eyes?
Yeah.
That's not orthographic, but are we at the zenith looking down, straight down, and there's an observer there, and then in front of him are the blue dots, and those blue dots, I'm just going to suggest and say those blue dots are trees, and each of those trees are spaced, and you can see them blue, blue, blue. You know, there's seven dots, and then the red dots are then his description of where he thinks they are.
Yeah,
I guess what I'm just trying to ask is what are the blue dots? What are the blue dots?
I don't know what the object is. I don't remember if he mentioned it.
All right, no worries then. Okay,
but we could just say a tree is fine, something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
I know some of these have used
straight down.
Yeah, we're looking like this direction. So this is a top-down view.
Okay. Those were my questions. Thanks.
No, that's good. I'm glad you asked those. There was probably some other people out there who didn't catch on to that real quick. Because I went over it really quickly. Okay, thanks, Travis. Effie, you got anything to jump in before we let Gleam show us his stuff?
Yeah, look, I'll defer to Gleam, other than to say, look, on this whole subject, I kind of got my head around this back on Oakley's channel a couple of years ago. For me, as I said before, the difference between orthographic and how we view things is so undeniably obvious that if someone wants to continue to argue down that route, there's one or two things. Either they're stupid or they lack objectivity or integrity. They're the only two conclusions I can draw from it. So over to you, Gleam. Thank you.
Cool. I see before you get started, SE Montreal joined us. What's up, SE? Yep. Go ahead, Gleam. All yours.
Okay, let me see if I can present, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Screen. Okay. Just to back up exactly what you were saying, this is a citation and it's more about molecular science, but obviously perspective would scale. So it says, in perspective view, the default, objects which are far away are smaller than those nearby. In orthographic view, all objects appear at the same scale. Since some prefer one or the other, both options are available. Perspective viewpoints gives you more information about depth and are often easier to view because you view perspective views in real life. Orthographic views make it much easier to compare two parts of the molecule. And that was to say two parts of the object, whether that's you and versus a lighthouse or whatever, as there are no question about how the viewpoint may affect the perception of distance. So it's to do with distance. There is a big thing with, there are three perspective effects. One of them is foreshortening, which is basically the triangulation and increments or gradients of a train track as it goes. It's obviously getting smaller, smaller, smaller as it goes in. You have pose, which is whether it's tilted or not, because a massive cube the same size as your eye height, if it's actually tilted and not flat, the tilt can actually make it breach the horizon, go above the horizon line when it shouldn't, because it's at your eye height. So there's pose, and then the third one is actually to do with distance. So it's how far it is away, and it's the standard getting smaller. Now, this is Ewan He's paper reviewing that Gilinski equation that I was on about earlier. And what it was, I'll just show you some basic diagrams that they put in there to show what the standard is. So this is standard geometry. If you want to find out how far that is, it's basically angular size. That converts into angular size, but it is basically angle below the horizon of where that would be. And what they found is that whether you're on a slanted floor or tilted floor, so you're on the top of a hill, there is this additional error which occurs, which she shows here. So that's there's the geographic slant. So this is the geographic slant in this one. And then you perceive it to be shorter or smaller than what it should be. Now, this is just a psychological effect, bear in mind. Okay, so this is not a recorded effect with a camera as yet. But if you can see here, this is that chair, standing on a ledge, standing on the ground and sitting on the chair. And what this actually tells you here, the equidistant reference, that is your basic angular size formula. And if you can see, no matter which one it was, there was always deviation with distance. So,
and Gleam, this is only over like 12.5 meters, right?
Definitely a few meters. Yes.
So that's a pretty big deviation for not a long way.
Definitely. And that's exactly it. It's been a huge thing, and it's now a massive thing in the likes of robots and basically automated perception analysis, like automated cars and stuff like that. They use this exact science. I've got many papers on exactly that: automated cars detecting road markings, and they have to account for all of these perspective errors. And again, that is in a camera. So you can't just say that, oh, these perspective errors just go away because you use a camera. Because what I will say is there is a NASA scientist in this paper who is an optics professor. And again, he's a professor of robotics. And, oh, yeah, no, this is right. Yeah. So they've wrote a paper in 2020. This is Salford University. And I think it's Theodorus is the professor. But what they've done is they've basically said, which is the core thing I don't think globe earthers actually get a grip of. But in perspective view, everything changes like proportions. That everyone understands. Size, shapes, and the angles that we see. Now this bit, even overlapped objects in the scene start to appear. Now, overlapped objects is the likes of when you're talking, yet a wave is hiding the bottom of a boat and they're saying it's going over a curve. But neither here nor there. I want to just read this abstract and you can download this paper. It's Perspective Distortion Modeling for Image Measurements. Okay. And again, it's autonomous systems and robots in Manchester University, Salford, should I say. So there are many approaches trying to model and estimate perspective effects in images. Bear in mind, we're solely talking about cameras here. Some approaches try to learn and model distortion parameters from a set of training data that only work for a predefined structure. Just to side note that means that it only really works when they know exactly the distances, the building size, and so on. Now, none of the existing methods provide deep understanding of the nature of perspective problems. Okay, so I'm not going to carry on. If you want to look that up, I'll probably drop all these in the general chat. But there are effects in a camera which are very similar to the eye, which distort from your standard angular diameter formula. It is not fit for purpose, should I say, especially at long distance viewings.
What is the mechanism which causes the distortion? So it's this. It sounds like it's similar for the camera and the eye, which is what I would expect. Is it a function of the eye and a function of the camera, or is it a function of how the light
environment?
The environment.
It's a lot to do with environment. I did put together a massive list in perspective, sort of like to say what to take care of when you're doing an image, and obviously taking the temperatures and whatnot. But in perspective, you've got to understand your perspective from your eye. What are your eye limits? Yeah, so your angular visual acuity, your angular resolution limit, and then you've got to understand the environment. So you've got to understand that a lot of globe earthers love to take you down there. So on any flat surface like my tabletop, how am I supposed to ever hide anything behind something? And it seems impossible. They set that impossible task straight away. But then you ask straight back, which I've asked for Bearded Devil for years, and he never will answer it. He'll always skip over it and never will answer. But now show anywhere that's flat like a tabletop, that hasn't got topography, that basically something in the foreground, albeit not bigger in physical size, can actually block something bigger in physical size behind it if it's got distance. And a lot of globe earthers don't even get that grips, where a 1 foot wave, let's say, will block 1 foot just behind it. But if you're as you went through Rumpus, I thought that was a perfect one. Ranty put it up the other day. Shout out Ranty, by the way. He put it up the other day where Rumpus was saying, so as the person went away with distance, because he'd done the front view, yeah, as he goes away with distance, if he's your same eye height, then obviously it appears that his feet is going up towards the horizon as he shrinks. Yeah, so the eye height will be identical, so that won't change. Yeah, but the feet shrink up towards the horizon. And there will come a point basically where you are at unity, is what it's known as. It's not infinity, it's at unity, where your angle is so acute that everything is in line with each other. So no matter how far, so you've got 1 foot on your horizon, you could block 2 foot if that's double the distance, and then keep on doubling that up. So you can block so much of a bottom of a ship with just a 1 or a couple of foot wave, as long as you're low down, like what the Black Swan was, original was.
Yeah, just to illustrate that, Glenn, if you've got a skyscraper off in the distance and you've got a Lego brick in your hand, you can block the skyscraper with a Lego brick.
Exactly. And that's what I don't get. They put their thumb up to the moon and say, I can block the moon. Yeah, your 1-inch thumb can block a massive moon. And they can't get that aspect on the ground. I don't understand it, but that was literally all my presentation. As I say, I could present here for hours, but it would just be saying the same thing of there is a difference between physical, actual geometrical space and the perspective space that you're even capturing in a camera. And then obviously on top of that environmental topography, you then have environmental conditions like refraction and whatnot that you have to add. Shout out Ether Band. Boom.
Of course, can't forget the ether band. Let's talk about this figure real quick. So the left is the blue. The blue is the physical space. That's the dimensions like you would write down on an engineering drawing. And the right is how you would view looking down. What is that? A cylinder?
Well, what this would be is your mark of where you're actually taking your picture from. Let's say you take a photo. Obviously, when you're taking a photo, you don't capture the tripod legs, and when you're looking straight ahead, you don't see your feet. So there's a certain part cut off. I think a better one, if you give me a second, handprint perspective. Let's just do that. It'll be the first world. If you go onto this site is beautiful. It gives you all the mathematics, all the history of what particular artists change what particular perspective effect. And it's called handprint.com, and just type in handprint perspective in Google and it'll come straight up. But what they talk about is where there's light rays going everywhere. This is their sort of like representation of light bouncing all around everywhere. But what they actually go through is everything, literally break down everything in as much as this circle of view is where you start to see from, because he can't see his feet. All of this is blank. Everything below him is blank, and the same way above him, because you've got it's actually a little bit less, 5 degrees less, because you've got eyebrows that stick out, so that causes a blockage rather than your cheeks.
Is it kind of like cone shaped? The view, Gleam?
Yeah. Well, that's how they've modeled it here. These 2 rings, don't be confused about this. It's that compared with that, and then that compared with that. It's a 1 ring versus 2 ring. And what they're actually trying to do is they're saying, is everything reducing from this point or this point or this point? And they're playing about with it in as much to say, this is what this mathematical model would be. And this is another paper after that Erkland's. So Erkland done the basics of putting this model together, I think. And he literally started to see perspective space as different to geometric space, albeit Galinsky's work was already proven that, and that was empirical. Everyone tried it and said, "Nah, you're lying." They tried it and found, yeah, you're absolutely right. Humans perceive perspective completely different to geometric.
I have a question, Gleam, if I may.
Yep.
is it fair to say that we always lose the object at a distance from the deck up visually?
100%.
Or do we, is it like all around from top bottom?
It is all around in no space. So if you was in free space, you could put let's say you've got 6-foot objects and you lose them from your visual acuity at 4 miles, let's say. So if you put a ring as if they're orbiting you in space, if you can imagine yourself just freely floating in free space, and then you've got a ring of people around you, but they've got to be spaced more than 6 foot apart to allow them to disappear, because if not, they would appear like a solid ring all the way around. So just
In open
before,
space, but I'm talking about
yeah,
on a land, like on a deck.
exactly. Now that is how globe earthers, that is the limit of their understanding. Yeah, that if I can't see anything, it's because of this space. But exactly what you highlight, there is a definite difference between looking across a surface where the surface takes up 50% of your view because of this this limit of your eye or limit of your angle of view as well. But the surface blocks half your view. So in space, you can see 360 degrees all around you. But if you're looking across a surface, no matter what, the pixels will blend into the surface, let's say. And you've seen it many a times. You can always see this on any part, any of the turbine pictures. You'll always see a horizon, which is well, apart from on Dr. John Dee's one, but on the ones that Rumpus shows, where he's saying, "Oh, look, how can you explain this? They're definitely over Earth curve." No, that actual horizon is well before that. You've got waves which are higher than your angle of view, which are 1 mile away, and you're
I,
talking about turbines 20 miles away.
I gotta jump in here, guys. I'm gonna say this again and again and again. What Gleam just said is a reiteration of what I've said, and I'm sure others too. But the horizon is the key to all of this. We have to be able to get someone out on that apparent horizon in order to start to say anything meaningful about this discussion.
Exactly. It needs
Because
to be
that
highly
horizon, I spent some time this weekend looking over some stuff, and I'm looking at this horizon, and it is absolutely clear that that apparent location in the same observation, and by that I mean the same viewer location, same viewer height, same distant, same object in the distance, that horizon changes. And until we address that in this field, if it's not been done, I don't think it's been done.
It doesn't need to be done on that model. That's the thing, because they can just go, look, Earth curve.
No, because the location changes, Gleam. So what I mean is,
but they can. Oh, that's a bit of refraction on our globe. I know exactly where you're coming from, though, and I support exactly what you're saying.
well, okay, so yeah, that's fair to say. That's fair to say. I guess what needs to happen then in our collective think tank is the approach to circumvent those rebuttals, right? We have to figure out, okay, so we can say X and they come back with Y. We can say Z and they come back with A prime. We've got to figure out the nail in the coffin of saying, look, you can't, you don't have an argument here. You don't have
a pretty good video that does that, Travis.
Well, obviously it's not
Wasn't
good
your
enough.
last one when you had 4 different pictures and you were showing different?
I know. See,
That's
look,
beautiful, bro. I mean, right there.
I put it out there.
Same location, and you see in front of your eyes the horizon changing. I mean, end of story, man.
I know that. I know that. You know that. I'm trying to figure out how to say it in a way that
Gleam said right now, and I mean, we've heard this, I mean, how could you disagree with that? The horizon moves. If you sneeze, the horizon moves.
If it's something that's dynamic, you've got to treat it as dynamic. and just reverse engineer it based on the model. And that's exactly what globe earthers do. It is, and it doesn't match in some cases. Some cases it does.
Right. Which is exactly why, under 15 degrees Polaris angles don't work. You've looked into Polaris quite a bit. Have you come up with a model for how it could possibly work on flat Earth, given these kind of perspective?
Well, I've had this out, this mathematics out. What I did, I'll tell you straight away. If you take the raw understanding that for every 69, I've got 0468 miles, Polaris will move by 1 degree, depending on whether you're going towards or away from the zenith point. So if you go with that understanding, if you say, right, the Earth is flat, and if every 69 miles, if I walk away just in one straight line from Polaris's zenith point, has to be there, every time I look back, it would appear to have dropped by 1 degree. Now, I've had Sean Hawkins, I've had Conspiracy Cats have this, I've had so many, even Beeble for Life has had it, and not one of them can actually come up with... I basically say, name 1 degree that it fails on. And what you'll actually find is it's identical to a globe. Well, I should say it's within 16 meters over 6,225 miles. So that's 0.00001% or something like that accurate.
Is that mathematical accuracy? Because
it's only mass.
Yeah.
Yeah, only no refraction at the end of it, or
well, that's how they based their model off of, dude. That's how they got the math. So of course it's going to line up because that's how they lined it up.
Yeah. So the concept would have to mean that you have an apparent perspective limit dome, similar to Walter Bisling's model and similar to what Jeranism was saying, where you have a limited view, which is like a half dome over your head or half sphere over your head, a dome. And you would, no matter where the sun is, because the sun would have to be a bit further away for you to actually, let's say it burns onto this limit, and then that's what lights up the pixel there. Let's say, so it appears to be there. And it's similar on a globe model, to be honest. From 45 degrees down, the sun is always in an apparent illusionary position.
Can I ask a question?
Go for it.
Okay, so if we're talking about a compass or a sextant, and we have the angles of degree in the sky, right? Because you're not measuring the water, you're measuring the sky. You're measuring the angles of degrees in the sky. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so my question always becomes, right? I guess this should be familiar to you when I ask this question. What was the value of a degree, 500 years ago?
I got a comment to add after he answers that too, guys.
Okay. 500 years ago, was a degree given the value of 69 miles or whatever that would work out to in metrics?
No, that's what the radius would be if you divided the radius by the 360.
Right. I understand that. So here we go.
It's pure mass, yeah.
Okay, great. So if we're flat earthers 500 years ago, and we're
whoa. No, I'm joking. Go on.
Okay, Gleam, if you and I were out talking in the field, we're like, man, look at this, all this, blah blah blah, and I ask you, I say, Gleam, what do you think the geometrical value of a degree in the sky is? What's the
That's right where I was going. Hey, hold on a second, Gleam. That's right where I was going with it. I'm looking at this globe, and as far as, okay, let's say in Alaska, and right here in Victoria, and not even as high as Greenland, but right here, like in Alaska, it looks like the let's say the latitude lines are about 1/3 the size they are at the equator. So your degrees, your miles per degree are like, there's crazy size differences, man. I mean, crazy size just from like Minnesota. It looks like it's like about 60% the size of the lines of I want to say longitude actually. So I'm guessing that every angle, every mile and angle measurement they do is probably based on the latitude. Am I correct, or is it the longitude or latitude? Because they can't do it
datums.
consistently.
The
ahead.
datums were laid down based on the North Star. The datums that we work from are off of North Star.
Can I finish my
Here's my point.
Yeah.
I was having trouble summing that up, but here's my point. Okay, let's say we're in Alaska, okay, and we're looking west. Okay, so it's not going to be 69 degrees per. I mean, it's not going to be 1 degree for 69 miles. It's going to be 1 degree for about 27, 28, 30 tops, maybe probably more like about 27, 28 miles per degree. And then when you start getting further north than that, it gets, of course, it goes down to zero at the pole.
Yeah.
So all this stuff about their 1 degree per 69 miles and all these separate directions is a load of bullshit, dude. Okay, it's all estimations, and that's how they based the lines in the first place.
Yeah, I think it was all done
of course, they're going to match a globe. But yeah, I agree with Travis, man. I agree with Travis. We about the getting measurements out there on the horizon, because you're just going to see a tiny little difference in the photographs. They might not show too much. He's got some that show extremities, but it might show just a little bit. But that tiny little millimeter might equate to 2 miles. So we do need to get out there with markers on the horizon and demonstrate it better, because it's not. I think even the pictures that aren't showing extreme differences are probably a lot more than we think they are, and we just need markers to show that.
Well, let me just try to wrap up what I was trying to express. That is that if Gleam and I are out in the field talking about the sky and the earth, and we have 180 degrees above us, right? Even that is a construct, right?
Right.
I mean, there could just be 2 degrees above us. One could be 90 and the other could be 90, right?
I've calculated it out to be 181. Sorry, not 181. It would be 106. No, it wasn't. It was 141. Because you take off 23 degrees each side, which is basically, if you take a photo of the horizon,
yeah,
50% of the photo is taken up by the land. So unless you go, obviously, the bottom of the camera lens, let's say, to the horizon, and then you're getting pure sky, then you've got to remove X amount of degrees for your perspective, your apparent rising floor.
Okay, hold on. Okay,
rewind.
Yeah, we can come back to that. That's interesting. So, my point is always to go back to rewind the tape to where these knuckleheads first were sitting around their board of directors going, how are we going to sell this idea, right? So if you've got degrees above your head and your degree has a value in the air, how does that degree in the air have a value of 69 miles? Okay, well, if I walk away, right? So you and I, Gleam, are talking, and I say, what's the value of a degree in the air? You're like, I don't know. Let me walk away, and I'll tell you how far I walked when what we've decided is a degree in the air changes to a degree, right? It changes a degree. Hey, it's 69 miles, okay? So right now, all we have is a measurement of our topography and celestialography, whatever that would be, I guess astronomy, I don't know. And so then we would understand that as we move around our Earth, our position changes the degree of angle to a celestial observation. But if you complete the circle, if you assume that there is another 180 degrees under your ass, then that simply translates into the values that we have today. So my question always becomes, where did the value come from at the beginning? I don't care, Rumpus, what you can measure today with a laser, because that measurement today with a laser has been influenced by previous decisions on what the values are. Right?
As I understand it, it was a sailing thing where they had to mark down
right, but it's always
how
above
far
your
they
head.
were
It's
away.
never below your ass.
Yeah, no, that's
You're
it.
always
Well,
doing your navigation based on what's above your head.
yeah, well, they had it as if Polaris was on the horizon, you're near the equator. That's how their maths would work.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and it says
Which would be amazing, right? See, that's what's crazy about our world, right? If we, I'm completely just segueing for a second. If we don't know anything about frequency and vibration and energy, you know, we're not going to be in tune with our world in that realm. The same thing if we don't navigate with the stars, we're not going to be in tune with those realities. There's so much deficit that we have in terms of like using calculators or using GPS or not figuring the shit out for ourselves, right? You know, just riding on the coattails. You know. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, no,
I have a question for Gleam after.
Go for it. Either way, I was just back at. I agree with you there, Travis. Straight away, you're building on a construct, and that's the thing that the globe earthers trust too much. It's like, yeah, you got a working model because they've taken years, hundreds of years to actually refine a wrong model, because they started off with the sun at 500,000 miles. You know what I mean? So obviously it's been pushed out. Oh no, that didn't work. Pushed out. Oh no, that doesn't work. Let's keep pushing it out until it just matches. And you're exactly right. It's the same with anything perspective wise, or I think it was Strabo back in the days, 30 AD or something, said he thought that the sinking effect on the horizon, no one had ever thought of it before as a curve. And he wrote about it, and he says, I'm pretty ridiculed that no one before me has actually seen the sinking effect and seen it as evidence of a curve of the sphericalness of Earth. And if you look up Strabo's history, he is one of the Roman history guys to promote the spherical bit. But yeah, sorry, Essie, yeah.
No, cool, very interesting, Gleam. Always interesting to listen to you. I was wondering, excuse me. You know when the ballers say, how did they navigate using the stars back in the day? They thought they were on a ball. How, you know? But I tell them, wait a minute, didn't they think they were on a flat surface back then? So, what's your opinion, the stars and flat versus round story?
Okay, I'm gonna cite Einstein of all people, and it isn't actually Einstein. I'll cite the big boss, Ernst
Ho
Mach.
ho 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 ho! You know, if you cite Einstein, you got to take everything he says. Okay, you can't just
Yeah,
cherry.
Can't cherry pick every word.
And no way will you understand.
Yes, that's it. That's it. It's impossible. Utter understandable. So put it this way: Einstein is you'll know it for relativity, okay? And it was actually Mach's idea, and it's not one of the only reasons, but it is a core reason why I call myself a Mach earther. And the whole thing is, in relativity, Einstein realized that everything's relative to one another. And he also made the famous quote in his history of quanta or history of physics from quanta to whatever. He basically said the struggle so violent in the olden days, and I'm misquoting this a bit, but he's basically saying between Ptolemy and Copernicus, where one was heliocentric, one was geocentric. He said the argument was completely meaningless because both ideas work. They're just a construct of a coordinate system. And that's what I truly believe. And Einstein's actual main philosophy is all coordinate systems are created equal. Now, I personally can't prove either model, so I can't tell you for definite it's this or that. But all I know is that both models, from what I can see and from what I've researched, work to certain extent.
Yeah,
And
that's
not
what I
only
thought,
that,
bro.
and not only that, Montreal, you could take and put any of the planets in the middle. You could take Mars and put it in the middle, and the other planets will revolve around the sun. You could take any of them, any conventions. I've heard famous scientists quote that. But I wanted to correct myself. On the famous equatorial star trails that the Globers love to show proof of a spear, that the stars somehow know that that they're supposed to be cooperating, like they're on a spear. And I was saying that there had to be at least 2 separate star rotations, but in hindsight, and just thinking about it for another minute, there has actually got to be 3 separate star rotations, because if what they're showing as their proof is true, and we have the stars, like I said before, moving off to the right, the stars off to the right in the distance are going. Am I? Shit, man.
It sounds like you're swimming and you're saying a word every other time that you're coming up from breath.
He was clear for me.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, I'm
Is
so
that
sorry.
any better? Is that any better, Gleam?
No, it may have been my end then, me playing this stupid video on there.
Yeah, you were good, Brian. You were good. You're good.
Yeah,
Okay.
so sorry.
Anyway, so we've all seen the equatorial. Gleam, you know what I'm talking about, with the star trails, with the ones in the middle, right overhead, going straight off in the distance. The ones to the left veering off to the south in the distance. The ones to the right veering off to the north in the distance. And that's like their best proof is the antipodal star rotations, and they love that equatorial picture. But I was saying that means that there's actual deviation. That is correct. Okay, if that picture that they love to show is correct, then you can, which I don't think it is, but for them using it, for them to measure, if we can measure the actual separation, then that means they're actually separating. That means there are actual different star trail rotations, but that don't mean 2. That means there's 3. There would have to be 3. At least 3, because one star rotation would be the ones that are going straight overhead in the middle. The other would be the stars circling off to the left, and the third would be the one circling off to the right. Since they're all measurable and they're measurably deviating away from each other, then there'd have to be 3 actual separate star rotations at least. So there could be more, but we know there'd be at least 3 if that famous picture they show us is real. I like to think of the I don't know. Go ahead. I'll pass it on. I don't want to get too long-winded.
Thanks,
No,
Brian.
I
Actually, your mic sounds pretty good. That was good stuff, though.
Yeah, keep going,
It just takes a little common sense, man. You put some thought into it, man, and you run into problems. If you, like I said, man, it's tough to prove a flat Earth, but it's so easy shitting on their model. It's fun, but to me, it's not been proven yet. But I don't think they have an open mind at all, man, to things like that. Because when I first seen that equatorial picture, I was like, damn, that's a tough one, right? We all probably thought that, looking at it like, the stars are spinning this way off to the north and this way off to the south. It just takes a little bit of thought, man. And here's another one. So if you look at I don't think we talk about this enough. Okay, the stars, let's say we look up in Ecuador. Any time of the year, we're on the equator, we look up, let's say we see Pisces, straight overhead, or whatever it is, Aries, whatever we see straight overhead is looking exactly away from the sun if we're looking at it at midnight, okay? So 6 months later, okay, you can say all the sidereal day, the 23-minute 56 seconds to say why it doesn't flip, why the times don't flip, which I think they should, but you can't get away from this. If you could still see that constellation anywhere on Earth that was exactly opposite of the sun, let's even do it on the equinox, okay? So we know it's exactly 180 degrees, or as close as we can get to away from the sun. So now 6 months later, we get on the other side of the sun, anywhere on Earth, if we can see that constellation, it doesn't have to be Ecuador now. It could be anywhere. There's nowhere on Earth should we be able to look that 93 million mile direction and see nothing but sun and washed out stars because of sunlight. You all with me?
Yeah, I understand you. Yeah, I understand you.
Yeah,
I've,
yeah, yeah.
I've,
The other thing to do with the star trails, just quickly, is that, and that's really interesting, Brian, what you said about that equatorial one. But I think we all can fall into the trap that whenever we think about the stars and the sky, it's difficult not to just kind of default back into what we've been told they are and where we've been told they are. So, yeah, we all kind of picture that it's just one set of stars going in one direction all the time, and therefore it's hard to explain the different, antipodal rotations. But once again, we don't know what they are. We don't know if it's just a light projection. Is it holograms? Are they flaming balls of fire? We got no idea. So just got to remain open-minded.
I was going to write it off as a fisheye lens, but in Australia, they said they got some star rotations in Australia showing the stars moving straight, only two directions, straight overhead, and then veering off to the left, or what would appear to be south. They have only got two, and they say they veer off like in the distance in a strange way. So, if this Earth is flat, I mean, could we all agree? I mean, it's speculation, but we could kind of deductive reasoning. There has to be separate, either one big giant circle, which is equally as likely, or actual, separate star rotations, like maybe one. I don't know. What do y'all think on that?
Yeah, who knows? Who knows, honestly, what's going on with the stars? If there's two it's possible. Why not? Why couldn't there be two rotations next to each other? We don't really know what the Earth is.
I've got a theory. If I can just share it, this is exactly what you're on about, isn't it, Brian? On screen.
Oh, let me share your stream here.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, let me look at it.
Someone knows,
like Pete says. Like Pete says, a reflection. It could be very well be a reflect. The north reflecting the south, for all we know.
I'll just say hello to everyone, and I'll just say someone knows, Brandon. That's for sure. Someone knows.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Pete.
So either way, my theory is that we're on the equator. Let's say that's the equator line or equatorial line in the sky. This is the North Pole. Yeah, this is what they call the South Pole. Okay. If I had a load of pinstripes, if I move this, oh, it should be moving. If I move,
I'm not seeing nothing. Is everybody seeing what he's showing?
Are you sharing my screen?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Brian, if you use the Discord, you should click on Gleam's live button. Don't go to YouTube. You go to Discord.
I see a picture of even a skinny cartoon version of Gleam in the middle of the screen.
Yeah, no. What I'm showing is where there's two.
Gleam is a cartoon version.
This is what you've been talking about, Brian. Okay,
yeah,
good.
I think it is. Either way, if you can imagine exactly what you know is available to see with basically two black holes to the right, and then you've got all the stars merging around it. Now, if you imagine, if we forget about the southern hemisphere just for now, and all the globe earthers be going, yeah, I bet you wish you would. But if you just think that you've got lines in the sky going across your dome of view, let's say. So you've got lines, let's pretend that it's a massive record, but the record is so large that you cannot detect any curvature in that line. Okay, so if we go through towards the actual North Pole, because you're so far away from the North Pole, obviously the equator stars are going to look perfectly straight, but these ones, your perspective view is suddenly decreasing, and then this causes, or obviously from a large point of view, if you're looking up and it's like a record player and these are the grooves, yeah, you're actually looking over towards the center. Now that obviously doesn't explain southern.
like the stars know what to do, but we're only moving in one direction. Okay, I mean, well, you know, if you want to look at it relatively, we're falling over backwards, however you want to say it, in one direction. Okay, so the stars don't know what we're standing on, so they don't know that they're supposed to be curving away from each other. But I'm gonna tell you another thing. You look at the northern look at just the northern star rotation. It looks completely different than the southern rotation, because the southern star rotation, if you look at it in Africa, South America, or Australia, you can tell that the stars toward the middle of the loop are way off in the distance. It's very obvious. In the north, it looks more fluent. It looks more like, if depending on how you look at it, you know, they look pretty much equidistant and just doing a big circle around the center. But I repeat, in the south, it does not look like, upon first glance, yeah, you could look at it and they could throw these things at us and you could be like, yeah, damn, it is moving in a different direction. But no, you could tell it's a lot having to do with perspective. And that the picture Gleam just showed, yeah, no way, man. There's no way that the stars could be moving in different directions when we're only moving in one direction.
Well, Liam, why do you think there's a bias towards the north, even in the standard ball model, right? Because everything is sort of orientated in that direction, as opposed to a bias towards the south. Is there a fundamental distinction why? And also, as it pertains to your flat Earth in close thinking, if the empty space doesn't exist, right, and there's something else there, and there's a confines which is keeping the Earth from that, then it would seem that the nature of this and the contour and dimension of this barrier might be all important, especially when we consider we might be dealing with reflections in the flat Earth in closed sense, right?
Well, what's the alternative, Pete? If you don't have a northern orientation, isn't there only one other option?
Well, this is the point, isn't it? What do you understand about the southern star trails? Do they rotate around a fixed point, a seeming fixed point in the sky, like the northern star trails seem to do? This is a pertinent question. That's why I was asking Gleam. Is it because the truth of the matter is that all revolves around the north, and this is why the bias is given, or is it like a sort of a bait switch? You know what I mean? Bring the attention back to the south, where everything is emanating from. Or I'm just asking your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I'm following a path like yours, in as much as perspective reflections, in as much as Walter Bislin done his model, and the further south you move, your actual whole dome of view reveals more. And although he fails his model on bending light, he doesn't include any atmosphere on there to bend light anyway. But it's
For me,
go on.
sorry, Glenn, go on.
No, it was just to say that I don't know whether you've seen it, and Stellarium, you can download it, and I don't want to get you a strike, but it's basically, I'll try and get the Southern Stars Flat Earth, because they seem to have deleted a lot of it off, or
They're everywhere,
so.
but they're disappearing. The more I speak up.
That wasn't somebody's special star trail. That was just a random one.
No, it was just literally one off Google. It was no one special.
Okay.
It was just showing the first one that.
Gleam, can you explain your own thoughts at some point as well? Just because there's people here who think that we have no chance whatsoever of figuring out what the stars might be, so there's no point in looking in that direction.
Sorry, repeat that. What
I just said, I know you're giving two opposing sides, and you're giving the point of view of one contributor from the flat Earth side, and you're giving the ball Earth side as well, in the sense of the Mac Earth, right? Neither one or the other. And I was just asking you to finish off by giving your own thought, because there's people here who think that there's no progress can be made by casting our minds that way.
Well, the progress, I don't know what progress anyone would want apart from education and
understanding.
The first primary bit of the perspective side of things is from my point of view, and this is not going to sound good for in pro flat Earth, let's say, But put it this way: if flat Earth is a problem with science, with people, as the standard thing goes, people are anti-science and they're just doing it just because they're doing it for conspiracy theories and stuff.
Yeah, and they're looking at first glance and stuff. Pete, you see what I'm saying there? So picture somebody at the end of your street shooting off a Roman candle where it just does an arcing, just like or just right in front of you, pretty much. You're looking from a side view. Somebody shoots a Roman candle at like a 45-degree angle. It goes up and then it arcs down and makes a rainbow, basically. Okay. Now picture somebody 5 blocks down. Shoots that same Roman candle, okay? Then you have a arc inside of that arc, okay? And then, and so on. 10 blocks, another person shoots a Roman candle. Next thing you know, you got a rotation. That's exactly what it looks like. Next time y'all look at any of the Southern Star rotations, it's obvious that the stars are in the distance, okay? It's obvious. In the Northern Star rotation is not so obvious. It doesn't look like that. Southern, it's plain as day. You just got to stop and think, look at it. And when they were explaining this kind of a subject changer, but go whichever way you want with
Andy
it.
cut off Gleam, Brian. Andy cut off Gleam, man. Come on.
Well,
if
you're
you
asking a
don't
personal
get enough
opinion. I think he gave it to you, Pete.
No,
No,
I
he
was
didn't.
about to finish it.
I was waiting
My
for you to
bad,
let me back
my
in
bad. I'm
because
so
I-
sorry, man.
Yeah, no, the devastating thing I was going to say, or that would be anti-flat Earth for it, is that if this was crazy, a lunatic idea, if it was, that is the key word or key set of words there. If it was a crazy idea, then why can you not debunk a flat earther on their terms, on their model? It's clear. If anybody's been in the flat Earth for more than a day, they know that the flat earthers say that is not Earth curve hiding that stuff. That is a product of perspective and refraction. Shout out the ether band.
So why is that devastating then? And
Hang
what
on,
is the
no,
motivation of these returning
2
characters?
seconds. Yeah, no,
Everybody
2
drink.
seconds. Yeah. Now, put it this way: you have the likes of Wolfie, McToon, Simandan, Conspiracy Cats, all the big names, FTFE, all basically saying we've debunked the flat Earth. Now, when you look into what they've actually debunked, they've made up something that doesn't account for any of these perspective distortions we've just been talking about earlier. They don't account for anything that a flat earther would say. They don't understand that what they've got to do themselves, if they don't use a flat earther's model, they've got to they themselves build a model that works, that already explains the hidden part of curvature in forms of perspective and refraction, which absolutely negates the point of the test, because what you're actually doing is creating a working model. And they don't understand this. They're saying, yeah, I'm debunking the flat earth. And what they're actually doing is debunking some imaginary flow birth, which they've made up, which is
Who are you talking about,
designed.
Gleam?
It's all designed to fail, and that's what I don't get. That's what I don't get in this scene. That if globe earthers were really smart, if these top boys were really smart, then why haven't they come to your territory? You know, and I'm not talking going on Nathan's channel or anything like that. I'm talking looking at the model as you say it is, and that is what intrigues me. If I wanted to debunk somebody, I would and do a fair comparison, or to convince somebody, sorry, I would do a fair comparison and basically say, look, this is genuinely your model, and this is using perspective, refraction for the curve, and this, that, and the other, and this is our globe model, and we've compared them both.
Exactly, man.
Yeah,
If
and
anybody
Let me give you the
Well,
best.
hold on. Let Gleam finish, guys. Let him finish.
Yeah, okay, my bad.
And compared them both, and these are genuine things, problems that we found. Instead, all they do, I'd say 99.9% of the time, if they're not making a model to fail, all they do is confirm something about the globe model that again has taken 400 years of great minds to figure out and adjust and basically get finite. They're just confirming their own model, which is the same as just saying they're confirming their own bias. They're just saying, yep, this works. This shadow hides these satellites, or this is supposed to be hidden based on my Earth curve calculator, give or take a few percentage. So therefore the flat Earth is debunked, and that is a load of tosh in science. You have to test two models. and compare them. You don't just go, yeah, my first one that I've tested works, and
I'm
that's
waiting
it.
for
I
the
don't need to test
devastation
anymore.
for Flat Earth.
Well, the
Yeah.
devastation is if a globe earther wants
Over
to
there.
debunk the flat Earth, they've got to obviously use your model, and that
Right.
it's not a devastating thing for you, but the devastating thing is that they're
Right.
saying, yeah, I'm debunking you, I'm debunking you, I'm debunking you, and not one of them has.
I'll
I've
make
said
this
that.
quick.
Let me just say, Brian, before you jump in,
Yeah, go
I've
ahead.
said it so many times, and to Rumpus especially over the years. Where is the, as you talk about, two models need to be tested in regard to one another. Test results then will lead one way or the other. Where is the extravagant, detailed flat Earth model? When I ask questions about an extended span and a horizon rises into eye level, I get all humming and hawing as if it hasn't been really considered. And let me just say, this is why I've said from the very outset, all these people are actors defending a lie, but the lie was always meant to come to fruition, come to the truth, right? Which is where we're about now. And they're doing the very best that they can. Rumpus is probably one of the very best, Paper Explanator, one of the best that they have, doing what they have with what they got, which is pretty much nothing.
I wanted to
Lee
say real
makes a
quick
very
that.
fair point.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
Lee
bud.
makes a very fair point. The question is that the problem is they've had hundreds and hundreds of years to come up with their model, and we got like 5 years.
Billions
I
of
mean,
dollars.
personally, I don't subscribe to that.
Yeah.
The
Here's-
ring model and that. I don't subscribe to any of that. So I think we need more time for that. That's my opinion.
Here's the kicker, though, man. Here's the kicker. What makes it such a great debate, and anybody who says it ain't a great debate is full of shit, dude. Okay, it's a great debate. We're not retarded. Okay,
The greatest of all debates, bro.
Here's the kicker.
What is better
It's
than
all-
this?
Here's the kicker. All the anomalies, okay? All the anomalies on a globe have such okay, there are some globe arguments, that they have good strong a few good strong globe arguments. I'm going to be honest, okay? But the anomalies have such elegant, great flat earth answers, like for example, like why it's so cold in the south, okay, and why nothing grows down there, okay? That's an anomaly on a globe. It shouldn't be like that. Maybe a little bit, but not to such extremities. And it's flat earth, that's farther away from the sun, so nothing grows. It's common sense. It's a short, easy answer. And so I could go on and on. But there's 4 or 5 strong ones, anomalies on the globe that flat Earth gives such a great explanation for, and it's easy, it's simple, and it makes perfect sense. And
Agreed.
What do you
Let me
think,
jump in
Brian?
here
let me
real
jump in
quick.
just real quick.
Well, just let me
just
take care of some channel
Okay, go
business real quick. Sorry about that, Travis. Okay, a couple things. We've got Rob Keen in the chat with a super chat. Thanks, Rob. He has something to say about the Star Trail. So he's actually in the Discord. Rob, you want to go ahead? You there? You on mute?
He's changing oil.
There he is. Oh, we can't hear you if you're talking. We'll come back to you.
He's changing somebody's oil.
All right. He must have Discord audio issues. We'll come back to him. I did want to mention that we have Jeremy who joined us. What's up, Jeremy? And we've got and we've got who else was it? There was somebody else that was here. They must have dropped off.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Patient Zero. Aaron joined. And Pete, yes, you have made yourself
Brian
known.
Leakey for the first time. I'm sorry. Is Brian Leakey on camera for the first time?
That is Brian.
The Apaches got him.
Listen, I did not envision this guy being Brian Leakey. This is my mind is being blown right now. Shout out to Brian Leakey, man. I thought you were some redneck dude.
I think we all should go on camera. Who hasn't been on camera yet?
That is hilarious. That is absolutely golden.
if this is the greatest arena going, we should all be proud to show our faces because we are fighting a good fight against a sort of known wrong, right? Why do you think? Liam, there's so many faceless people with weird names like the Rumpus and Gator and Paper Explanator? That's an X name. Why do you think that's the case, Liam?
I think that's standard across the whole internet. No one wants to give their real identity, do they? No one.
It's standard across the agency, right?
Well, let me jump in real quick to just follow up on a point I think that was inspired by something that Gleam said, but I've said this as well. Brandon.
Yeah.
The work that you've done already on the show is just phenomenal. I just want to give you all the props, man. You are bringing up some fantastic data. You're spending a lot of time presenting the material that you found. So I want to say thank you, first of all. Second of all, I want to challenge you, if you're interested, in finding out who you can bring on the show that has no dog in the fight, that would be willing to talk about the model with someone, I would say, like Gleam. Because I think Gleam, as opposed to me, who can lose his shit sometimes, right? Shout out to Gleam. But someone like Gleam, who has the ability to keep his cool, but at the same time has done tremendous research as well. So we need to get someone who's not Rumpus, who's not Negator, who has not discussed this, but who is an expert in the field, and have a discussion with someone like Gleam who can say, well, what about this? What about this? Have you ever thought about this? That would be something I'd like to see.
Well, that is certainly a good idea, and I do appreciate the compliments. And if anybody thinks of any ideas or has any leads on someone, Gleam, I also think you would probably be the most natural candidate because of your deep scholarly knowledge. You've been thick into these papers. You know, there's gonna be some people choking on those words out there, but I mean, all these names and stuff, so you could hold a conversation with a lot of these scholars. But if you know anybody, or if you come across anybody that might be interested, that'd be cool.
The one person who I reckon we could have a very good conversation out of it. It would be a biased person though, but that would be Mick West himself. Even though it's his job to debunk the flat Earth, coming from that point of view, in as much as let me talk you through building the model, let him go away, let him come back, and say to him that he's got to come in with the mindset of making it work, not as in.
I'm only good with that. I'm only good with that. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm only good with that if we actually have someone as well who has no dog in the fight. Like, they've never had a discussion on this.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm saying, because that's a blank mind, and they would easily go, no, that's not right.
Right.
He's in slow motion too, man. It's hard to have all the knowledge that all of us have, ballers, flat earthers, concave, whatever. It's hard to find somebody with so much knowledge without a bias. But let me say something, man. There's no anybody listening who's like ballers think there's experts out there who got some great globe debunks like the super scientists know this. No, this is it. This is the best of the best. This is what you got in the whole world. There might be a few groups, whatever, but for the main part, this is it. Rumpus, George, they're the best. That's the best arguments you will, McToon. That's the best arguments you will possibly ever get for a globe. And as far as flat Earth, some of us, it's the best you're going to get. It's the best of the best. We're the ones who've researched it, top and bottom. I think most of flat Earth. I mean, I like to keep open mind. If Earth wound up being a globe, I wouldn't faint. I would still argue that it's stationary. But to me, I'm biased toward flat Earth, though, man. I'm more biased towards a flat Earth because of all my surveying and thinking about the water and all that. But I mean, who knows, man? But I think we're pulling a lot of strings. We're pulling a lot of the right strings. We're pressing a lot of the right buttons, man, and we're getting them to change stuff. We're getting reactions from the space organizations and all that. They're having to update their information and all that. So, yeah, that's a great idea, though, Travis. Good luck, though.
Yeah, hey, yeah, I could. The worst that could happen is
That's
Nick
why
West
I
doesn't
put it
email
on
me
Brandon
back.
to find. That's why I put it on Brandon to find the.
You won't find
candidate.
anyone like that, though. And Gleam would be too qualified to meet a newcomer to the topic. Not really too qualified. I'm sure you can handle it well enough. But if you're just coming to this for the first time and someone is throwing all of the flat earth arguments at you, you'd be inundated, right? You wouldn't be able to handle them all. So I don't think it's probably too practical.
Well, okay, but so how about this? So if you can't find someone, again, we're going to have to pay somebody for their time. So I'm willing
Get
to
someone
put some.
to act. Maybe the rumpus is free.
Well, I'm willing to put some money in it if we can pay somebody for their time. Like someone says, you know what, I'm so busy, blah blah blah. I'd be willing to do it. I love this discussion of this field. I love this.
Come on, man.
We got enough people.
What I'm saying is that if you find someone who is a candidate, but who can't seem to find the time, but you can buy their time, I'd be willing to pay to have someone come on who is not in this discussion, but is in the field. I don't think that's unreasonable.
Well,
It's like what I said with
I would suggest. I would suggest a scroll through anyone interested and look at all the people in chat, all the people listening to these videos. Scroll to YouTube video or YouTube contributor, YouTube channel creators, and suggestions put forward. And then you could put forward to serious people. Obviously, you want to sort of look into somebody who's deadly serious and they just believe the official story, but they're open-minded. They're sort of considering lots of different conspiracy stuff at the minute. And if they require a small fee, well, fair enough. I think that'd be good. It would be good to see that live on air.
Y'all can all laugh at me, but George Numchuck, man, if he could just get his head out the books for a minute, he knows so much about reality. You know, he's just.
Listen, you can't. No, you cannot have someone who has been in this discussion.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, but he's very knowledgeable, man. And he said, him and Rumpus have both said a lot. Like Rumpus put Kozlowski and Larry Scott on the spot when they were talking about their triangulations and how they used longitude and they had to base it on longitude. And he's like, okay, he pointed out that that's a pre-assumption, that's a globe pre-assumption. So you throw out the GPS or the survey in the argument. In other words, he basically politely debunked it. And I don't know. I guess they all got a little bit of honesty in them, man. If they could open their minds up a little bit.
My issue with that would be as much as I think that George can hold a conversation, right? I do believe that he has the book knowledge of this discussion, and even to some extent the field knowledge. This is not a degreed field, right? He's not a qualified technician in this field per se. So that's what I'm saying. You find someone in a college, you find someone in a university who is willing to give up an hour of their time and simply discuss their field. That's it.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting idea. We'll see if we can find somebody. But hold on, guys. Hold on, guys.
Like what Dell
Pete,
does
hold
with
on.
these street interviews, and there's nothing stopping us all from doing that. Who's speaking?
That was Brandon. Hold on, Pete.
I don't see anyone lighting up. Oh, sorry, I didn't see the name lighting up. Sorry, Brandon.
Oh, no problem. Is my mic okay? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You're good with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You're not lighting. I'm looking at the name screen.
Yeah. Pete couldn't hear me. All right. That's all right. Rob Keane, are you back out there again? I wanted to give you another chance to speak up.
Awesome. Can you hear me?
I think so.
Yep.
I think so. All right, cool. No, I just wanted to say something quick about those diverting star trails.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't hear anything on my end.
I
He
can.
wants to say something about the South Pole Star Trails. Yeah.
I'm gonna drop and rejoin.
No. We can hear you, Rob. I think it might just be Travis.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you
Oh,
fine.
that's weird. That's weird.
This is the problem with his end.
I must have. Why do I have this guy muted?
Travis,
Sorry,
you're outnumbered. Oh, you got him muted?
Sorry, Rob, I had you muted.
Now the truth comes out.
I must not want to heard what you guys say.
I love Travis though.
You just don't understand, Rob. You just don't understand.
You just don't understand.
Well, let's hear Rob. We don't hear from
Anybody
Rob.
who's anybody loves Travis, man. Anybody who's anybody loves Travis and Rob. Come on, Rob. What you got?
Yeah, come on, Rob.
Okay. So these star trails, I want to know if anybody knows what camera was being used for that and what lens was for that.
No, we can't hear you, man.
He
No.
wants to know what
Yeah.
camera
What
and what
camera and
lens
lens?
was used for the Star Trail picture that you brought up, Gleam, I believe.
Yeah, let me just have a quick look for it again.
Okay.
Give me 2 seconds.
All right. Well, he's
I'm
looking.
willing to bet.
In the
it was a
meantime, we've
fisheye
got
lens.
Carlos on the
It
panel.
was. No, it was. You could see it. It's one of those worm eye views ones where it's in the ground, so it's looking directly up. And
Yep.
that's what I was saying. All the left-hand side,
Doesn't
even
prove
though the
anything.
rotation appears to go the opposite way round, it's not. It's just going over your head like a record player. But anyway, let me try and find out. I'm sure it was because it at the bottom, all the houses are pointing towards the center of the lens.
Yeah, it had a
So-
wide
Perfect. Thank you,
field of
Gleam.
view for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It
Um,
was all curved round.
We had a newcomer to the show. Let's see. What's your screen name in here, Carlos? Oh, it's Carlos Pagan now. What's going on, Carlos?
He's not a newcomer.
Well, newcomer to the night.
He's an old dog.
I haven't seen you around in a
Carlos is
while.
the old prostitute that's around is always there, whenever you need a sort of what do you call it, gentle tongue, persuading tongue, right, Carlos?
Is that
Carlos, you think this is a great debate, or you think we're retards? Honest.
I just got here, so I don't know what you guys. All I heard about George Numchuk being somewhat decent person and whatnot. I don't know what you guys.
Well, he proved that we don't need
George
F equals
Nunchuk.
MA. The only reason I said that is he proved to Brandon that we don't need F equals MA. We can just use a weight calculation as long as we don't leave Earth.
He did say that. That is true. All right. Well, that's cool. So let's see. Carlos can pipe up when he wants to. He's sit around. Jeremy, what are your thoughts on the matter? I haven't heard from you in a while. You got anything?
I think flat Earth is a great debate. I mean, some of them can be honest. I have no doubt about that, but they just have serious, issues with not letting go of the globe or being able to see what's wrong with it. And I don't know, I want to talk to Brian about his fishing line or his line maybe later if we get a chance.
You know what? Let me check in with Aaron, and then we can come back to that. I've got one question I want to ask the panel, and then we can come back to that. That's a good idea. Aaron, are you there? Are you available? What do you got?
What's going on, Brandon?
What's up? So what do you think about anything that's going on
I just want to
tonight?
know why Travis isn't driving.
You know what? I started a new our company started a new brokerage with Michael's. If you're familiar with Michael's in your area, it's a craft and arts store.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a seasonal job that I have right now. So and what happened was my delivery tonight happens to be in my county. So I parked my truck at my depot, came home, and I don't have to be at the delivery until 3 a.m. So I've got some time to kill. So that's why.
Ooh, local's tougher, ain't it?
Hey, man, I say, Travis, you look a lot nicer than you sound like.
That I'm gonna have to try to figure out how to take that one. Okay.
Yeah, you have to clip that out.
Man, everybody goes on camera, a bunch of studs, man. Everybody flash your pictures, man. Whole panel of studs, man. You too, Carlos.
What's up?
Yeah, but hang on, Carlos.
Yo,
you're
I'm
a
not-
liar, and you've been a proven liar like Rumpus and
Oh, my
George
God.
100 million times.
Hold on, before
But
we
at
get
least you
into
go on
that.
camera,
All right.
which is fair enough.
Hey, hang on.
Listen, I'm not-
So you saying? So I'm the
Yeah,
same
but
as
he made the
everybody else,
comment
but
about
why
Travis,
don't
how he
you-
looks like, but has one look, right? Very smooth sometimes.
I'll tell you-
Shaven.
I'll tell you right now, I've already been threatened to get
In fact,
doxxed
them
and
convincing
fired.
liars, right, Brandon?
You got something,
So if
Carlos?
you
Go
don't
ahead.
Show your face, yeah, I would say. So according to Pete, if you don't show your face, then you're an actor, you're a plant, you're a
No.
government agent. But if
Don't
you show
misquote
your
me,
face,
man.
you're still the same thing. Yeah, that's always your argument. Oh, Rumpus never show his face. He's not a real person. Then you have somebody like me. I show my face, and then still, well,
Right.
he may show his face, but he's still a liar. Just quit bringing that
That's
up.
my only argument.
Whether we show
The
our
biggest
face-
Look
liar
at that,
shows their
man.
face.
Look at that. A panel full of studs, man. I told you, man. Look at that. Panel full of studs.
Hang on, let
Hopefully
people
Paige
talk.
is
The
out
biggest
there.
liar shows their face, Carlos.
Not quite.
Hang on, please.
Hang on,
The biggest
Pete,
liar shows their
hang
face,
on,
Carlos.
hang
But
on,
it's just
hang
this.
Hang on. We want a panel full of studs. Pete, will you turn your camera off real quick?
Listen,
Yeah.
I've already been threatened. I've already been threatened.
Have you a
by
problem with how I look, Carlos?
Jack, hello.
Hey, yeah.
Is that
Hey, come on.
Yeah, it's a free for all. Let's bring it on back, boys. Let's bring it on back.
Yeah, can I just
I've
respond,
already-
please? We're in this slippery arena, and of course we know that the slipperiest snakes, slimiest snakes, are the ones who are willing to show you everything. So I always made that distinction just to finish, because there's so many targets who will not come hell or high water show their face, so we can take them less seriously in this new domain we're in, right? This internet,
All right.
communication.
All right, Pete. Jeremy, what were you saying?
I was gonna say I'm not getting on camera. I've already been threatened by a Glober to get doxxed and fired from my job. So I mean, you can think whatever you want, but
No one has to get on camera. We're just joking around.
I understand.
yeah.
Yeah.
If your job's on the line, I definitely understand, buddy.
Yeah, no one has to get on camera if they don't want to. I did want to ask a question that was in chat before we go off down in other avenues. There was a question that came in from Ranty 00000. What's that? Quintuple zero. So Ranty asked about the Wolfie satellite into supposed Earth shadow video that the Globers are passing around, and it's their hot new proof and proves the globe in itself, and no one can debunk it. Have any of you guys seen that? Have any of you guys given any thought to that video at all?
Yes.
Nope, haven't seen it. Post the link.
Yeah, no, I've seen that.
Nah.
I've had hours of conversation. I killed the wolf pack on it.
Yeah, go ahead, Gleam. Maybe
Well,
tell us
there you
what's
go ahead,
up.
Gleam. Yeah, take it away, man.
Well, I killed him on the question of show me one flat Earth model that you've tested on either of your channels, and I had Wolfie there. Where's Wally? And who's the other Australian guy? Critical Think. That's it. So either way, none of them can show me any test that they've ever done on a flat Earth. So all claims that you've debunked something you haven't tested and negated your whole channel.
What about Dino? What about
I
Dino?
want to listen. I
Stingray?
gotta say this. I'm sorry. I've got to say this. I want to give Critical Think a punch in the leg to give him a Charlie horse. I just want to give that guy a Charlie horse. I'm sorry.
But either way, what they'll tout on is that I got something wrong, which is called hot pixels. Yep, and I freely admit I did get it wrong. Now the reason is that I said, okay, show me what the weather conditions were like that night, and Wolfie come back going, it was all clear, and I was like, no. Even though the sky looks clear, there's a density. Show me what that was, please. You've got to have recorded that, haven't you?
How is that relevant?
Because they could have been hidden by a cloud.
At the exact time that it was predicted to be occluded according to the heliocentric model?
Yeah, but this is the thing, Carlos. You've got to understand that if you're going to convince a flat earther, you've got to cover all bases. You can't just say, that's the shadow of the Earth. Bang, gone. That's it.
Yeah, they'd have plenty of
proven.
them.
That's
If
rubbish.
it wasn't a circumstance, they'd have bunches of them.
But the core thing is I mentioned 5 things, or 4 things, I think it was, and the 5th one was the Earth shadow. So the 4 things were hot pixels. Yeah, and I got a mistake where he was saying, show something going in and out, and there was a hot pixel going in and out, albeit if you go to, and Ranty will know this, if Ranty shows this, I don't want to get you a strike and show the actual video, but on Where's Wally's channel, he's got a diss to Ranty, and in there he literally shows that same Wolfie video, and he shows, if you can see here in the background, none of the stars are blinking out, and right as he says it, it's a classic Globe schoolboy error. Because right as he says it, there's a shooting star in the background going in, out, in, out, in, out. And I've asked them many a times, explain why that's happening. And they're, we have somewhere.
Right.
But anyway,
Can you explain it, Dean?
Yep, the other effects, I will do. The other effects would be...
Hang on, let me address what you just said.
No, because I want to actually just get to the whole point. You're cutting in on every single sentence. I'm just trying to finish one
He didn't
paragraph.
cut in at all.
He cut in twice. He cut in twice. But anyway, so the four effects I mentioned, was the hot pixels got that wrong. The actual angle of incidence of light could be changing. If you're on a flat Earth and they are circling above you, yeah, you know when a mirror goes across on Monterey Bay, let's say, they see flashes of light, and that's because the angle of that mirror is right where the sun's ray is hitting it and then coming straight over the water. Yeah, they're angling it such right. So that was another one that could be stopping these metal boxes from being seen. And there was clouds. So it was atmospheric density. I was saying the more dense it could be washing out the actual light. The actual hot pixels I got wrong, and the clouds and the angle of incidence.
What about the
Now,
horizon, Blaine? What
Yeah,
about
zoom
when
in
the
on the
horizon
parachute.
now
Zoom
what
in
I
on the
think it is.
balloons.
Wait there. What I think it is. What I think it is that on a flat Earth, yeah, and this goes the same for the eclipse. Yeah.
So you're gonna monologue, yeah.
Just let him
No,
finish this
I was
point.
just going to finish us off with this. with
Listen,
what I
listen.
think it is.
Having something to say. Having something to say is not a monologue, Carlos. Okay.
You can answer just when I finish this one thing. So what I actually think it is, because those were just effects that I listed to say it cannot just be Earth shadow, because there are other satellites blinking in and out. And even when the shadow comes back in, there's one of the satellites missing completely after the shadow's long gone. So anyway, either way, so what I think it is on a flat Earth model, if you picture it, there is a magnetic field, a strong magnetic field in the center, coming out as a funnel.
You don't need to go to that far.
It's called
though.
Birkeland currents. Look it up. Birkeland currents. Go look it up, Sonny Jim, if you want a citation. Now,
What should happen to the horizon?
Birkeland
What
currents.
should happen to the horizon?
Wait
Somewhere we
there.
don't
I've
need
got to
go.
just finish this, please. So
Okay.
Birkeland currents are flying upwards. The magnetic field, it's a very strong magnetic field flying upwards. Yeah. And then it goes round in the toroidal. It's like the center part of the torus field. Now,
Jim.
that's
funny.
That's now that ain't La La Land. Birkeland currents was Kristen Birkeland was James Van Allen's right hand man. So I don't know where you're on about.
What are you
Either way,
opposing, Lee? What is the media
Faraday
concern
effect,
with
the
this?
polarization of light. So on an eclipse, let's say an eclipse, the sun and the moon are directly opposing each other 180 degrees on a flat Earth, and directly in between them is this magnetic field. So to say that something is blocking that and it's Earth shadow, equally possible to be something is blocking that, and that's the magnetic polarization of light, aka the Faraday effect.
So I think the bottom line is there could be a number of other things. So let's let Carlos respond, since he seemed to think that this is a solid proof, and then we'll go to Jimbo, who has just joined, hasn't had anything to say yet tonight. Carlos, go ahead.
Brandon, after Carlos, I'd like to address Gleam also real quick.
Okay.
I got no problem with that.
Go ahead, Carlos. You got that response?
Thanks, Jim. Yeah. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah. See, here's the problem now. After the 15 minutes of all that, now I'm supposed to somehow have mental notes and address all that. But I'll try.
There's only one point. There are more effects that Wolfie never accounted for.
Yeah. How did he count for all the other effects, Carlos?
Okay, so one of his complaints is he didn't test it on a flat Earth model. So why does he have to test it on a flat Earth model?
Because if they just tested light as a particle model and just said, nah, it can't be a wave, then that would be very stupid, wouldn't it, Carlos?
Right. So here's the problem with that. You can't even begin to try to model satellites on a flat Earth because it doesn't work to begin with. That's probably one of the reasons.
Yeah, cool story. Needs more dragons.
The ones that came down are on balloons, buddy. They're on balloons.
No, it needs more dragons to be realistic.
So they're balloons. All right, so they're balloons. Okay, so let's say satellites are balloons, and he was looking at
here we go again.
How come do
How
we
do you
not
have gas
see?
pressure without a container?
Go ahead, Carlos.
So how come we don't see these so-called satellite with balloons? How come we don't see the balloon, the bladder, occluding the sun or the moon when they pass in front of the sun or the moon? How come we never see that? If these are the so-called balloons.
Too small, man. They're too small. How would you see them?
So now we're talking about how come we don't see something with balloons, and that's supposed to prop up this observation from Wolfie, or what, Carlos? I mean, why do you think this disproves the flat Earth, this Wolfie satellite proof?
No, I was just addressing what what's his name said that where are the balloons? I'm like, well, shoot, good question. Where are they? If they're hanging on balloons, how come we don't ever see the balloons, including the sun or the moon?
Because they're so small and they're so far away. That's a silly question.
Yeah, do you think it's a coincidence that the only ones that have hit the ground ever have balloons attached? Ever.
Right, but here's the thing: you can for let's say a geosynchronous satellite, like for TV, you can look up where they're located according to where you're at, and you can get the azimuth and elevation, and you should be able to get a camera, look up there, and see the balloon. But you don't see that, do you?
Guys, he's moving us away from the main point. Carlos, why does that observation from Wolfie falsify the flat Earth and prove the globe?
Because it doesn't work on the flat Earth.
Says
Here's
who?
The thing,
Who tested
I
it?
say that. Oh, okay. So how do satellites work on the flat Earth? Has anybody modeled
Who
that?
tested it? Exactly. So you can't make conclusions if you haven't tested it, silly.
You're just making a declaration that it won't work on a model that no one has given you to test, that you haven't even constructed to test for yourself.
Okay, then deliver. Where the heck is the model?
Now we're asking where the model is. So why are you going around claiming that
Okay,
proves
listen, hold
the
on,
globe?
just real quick, hold on, Carlos, listen, okay, where's the model? Okay, are you going to commission someone to traverse the Earth? Right, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take someone to start from scratch, to start at a certain geographical location, and then go around the Earth. Are you going to commission that? Are you going to pay for that time, Carlos? Otherwise, shut up.
I say that to you. That's your problem. That's your
No,
problem.
it's not our problem. No, it's not our problem. You are requiring sorry. You are requiring knowledge that would require time. And that requires a commission.
You get nowhere.
Listen, we're talking about our model that doesn't exist because he can't tell us why this disproves a model that doesn't. It's nonsense. Jimbo, what do you got to say?
He won't even present one, Brandon, for us to consider, for himself to consider.
Carlos, can you name one other object that passes into the alleged Earth shadow? Just one object.
Say that again.
Can you name one other object, a very common object that passes into the alleged shadow of the Earth?
Well, technically, a bunch of things, but not the only ones that are
Just
noticeable
a common
the satellites
thing,
and the moon.
Pretty much the moon, right? Yeah.
Satellites
does
and
the
moon. Yeah.
Does the moon black out when it goes into the shadow?
Does the moon black out when it goes into the shadow?
Mm-hmm.
This is supposed to be cutting edge talk. Come on, for goodness sake.
I mean,
let's just
why is he delaying and giving an answer? Shouldn't the answer be yes?
I mean,
Yeah,
I guess
that's a good question. No, it doesn't. It turns red.
There you go. Thank you, Brian.
Exactly. I'm not gonna say
Turns
yeah. You
red.
guys right away.
Okay. So now we're moving into a little bit higher level, Pete. Right? We're talking about light, the 7.6R refraction of light. Okay, the moon turns red because, the shadow and the distance, all this shit. Well, I thought light kind of traveled all around the atmosphere, Carlos. Right? So what makes the satellites black out, but nothing else does that allegedly passes through the shadow?
All right, good point, Aaron. Jimbo, go ahead.
Yeah, for the colors of the moon, there's 4 known colors, and it's when they're in the southwest, the southeast, the northeast, and the northwest that you get the 4 color changes of the moon. On the subject of Birkeland currents, they are very real, and they do, emanate from the ground up or from the sky down. But things like dust devils and tornadoes are built up around them. They play a definite role in our environment and our weather. Apparently, they cause low pressure when there's more of them in one area than another.
You're right.
Inducing
Exactly
rain.
right.
So, you don't discard electromagnetic currents in the air and other stuff offhand, because really, I don't doubt that they're at the core of tornadoes and even dust devils and many other things. Even these toroidal forces, magnetic.
Lightning storms, Jim.
Yeah, they've been mapped in the oceans all over the North Sea, everywhere. There are currents that form these whirlpools. They're very constant and consistent, and they've been mapped. And these currents
There's a
are
charge
probably,
everywhere, Jim.
yeah, formed by electrical charge passing vertically through these areas permanently.
Right. So why do you seem to be leaning towards maybe an ether of some sort, or something is creating this electrical charge, right?
Electromagnetism is a particular thing I'm referring to right now.
It's all the same thing.
Well, if you want to say so, you're putting words in my mouth. Please don't do that, Pete.
Well, ether in a flat Earth sense, right? A flat Earth understanding, an enclosed space.
I know the old school context that I understand ether in.
Forget about that.
Like in Victorian times when they brought in electricity, it ran through bare wires. It was very dangerous, and it was part of that ether and the concept of ether back then. It wasn't a space
as non-spinning ball earthers, Jim.
But
as non-spinning ball earthers in a new
ether is
context.
too vast, and again, it's like other subjects.
Okay, I'm giving you a
Don't
context,
give
Jim,
me
if you just
anything.
take a
I'm trying to
pause.
get one couple of lines in and finish what I have to say and get out because of this exactly, Pete. So please hush it for me. Let me say one more thing about the moon and the star trails, and I'll shut up and I'll be gone. Thank you.
You don't have to go anywhere. Off you go, Jim.
Yeah, as far as the moon goes, if you do a star trail, I'm pretty sure that the moon follows exactly at the speed of the star trails. The moon's supposed to be 250,000 miles away. All these stars, mega distances vastly beyond that. Well, they couldn't keep up with each other. It's kind of a rim speed rule. It works no matter where you are. There's no reason for all the stars to follow trails symmetrically in different pinpoints from the center and keep up exactly with each other and all be at varying distances.
But Jimbo, I saw B-ball hang a beach ball from his ceiling and put a camera on it, and
Did
it
he
worked.
hang up 10,000 other little light bulbs or little neons
No, see,
and
we
turn
don't
them
need
with
to go
them?
that far.
You do.
Hang on a second,
That's
please.
what's there.
Can you share my screen, please?
Jim, you got to the end of your statement. Let me comment, please, very briefly. You seem to be talking about an electromagnetic environment when the specific circumstances that charge collects and then disperses, sometimes in the form of lightning, sometimes with the winds in the form of tornadoes, hurricanes, etc. Let me finish, please, whoever is trying to talk here. But which is fair enough. When I talk about ether, it's always in a non-spinning ball Earth sense, right? So we're on a flat, stationary surface, whatever Earth may be, is enclosed. If something is moving, Jim. So if something is moving within this environment, well, this will cause a force of some
necessarily
sort.
constitute something. They're lights. They come from a source. If there's a light
Right.
moving on the wall, is it actually a thing?
No,
Or
it's a
just
reflection
an
of a
apparent
thing.
It's a secondary emission, not a reflection.
Yes.
Your wall is not a mirror.
That's why the stars go out when you rise above a certain height, because the source energy is still there. And it brings me to an excellent fucking question for flat earthers and ball earthers alike. When you're ready for it, let me know. But yeah, when we go beyond a certain point, the energy is still there. The medium in which we're looking, the particulate, Jim, right, the material world we're living in, the interaction, other aspect needed is not there. So we don't see it.
We have one word that's generally used and accepted, a barrier. Its composition is, quote, up in the air.
What has replaced the vacuum of space? And everyone's thinking there's 15 people and 12 people in chat here. I'd love to hear everyone's answer. What have you replaced the vacuum of space with in your own free thinking? In your own free thinking.
Elucidation, an elaboration, and an equation or...
Thank you, whoever said that. At least it's an answer.
Well, might be a false one, so it's just going from one
it could be, Jim.
Was that
I asked,
Dave?
if you let me finish, I asked in your
I
own
wouldn't want the flat earth to go in that direction. It's like following, a one-eyed king and everyone is blind. We're not blind.
The truth is known here, Jimbo. The truth is bloody known here, everybody.
Who said water?
For God's sake. And it's not about you coming towards the truth. If the
Yeah,
military don't know
Dave.
the truth.
All right.
Falsification is independent of replacement. We don't have to replace it when we break their model apart.
I'm not talking about
I mean, you can
replacement. I'm saying
speculate on it.
I
Yeah,
asked
you're
the
talking
specific
about giving a
question
new
within
theory.
your
Oh,
own
it's
mind.
not.
Yeah,
Well,
we can
yeah.
speculate
So you
on
can
it.
live within your own beliefs and not really reality again or truth.
Okay, is space real? Is empty space real?
What do you mean
that
by
to me?
empty space? A warehouse with
To us by Gleam, is empty space real as given to us by the heliocentric Big Bang model? To the best of your reckoning.
There is no such thing as empty space. It's a
Right.
misnomer.
So if you've decided that, in your thinking, you're free to decide, well, what may be, right? I don't know what is. I'm sure other people know what is, you know, all the churches, secret societies, etc. But I don't know what is. Can I make my best guess? And someone said water. My more specific answer is saline waters. This is the Earth's oceans, right? So moving on that basis, then I see everything else. And that's all we're doing, sharing ideas, Jim. But what do you see? Don't see empty space.
All right, interesting discussion. Gleam, you have something on the screen to share. We can come back to that in a
Yeah,
while.
just to close off the Aaron discussion where he was saying on a lunar eclipse it goes red. Now, I don't know whether you're aware, Mr. Eclipse, he's a NASA guy who calculated the eclipses, but he's tested different types of media, and he tested a floppy disk, and he says floppy disk media have a marginally safe infrared transmission and produce poor quality images of the solar disk. The magnetic media scatters visible light to the extent that one sees a dull red disk surrounded by a broad halo of red light. So he's not recommending use that as a solar filter. So seeing that, if you're looking through magnetic media up to there and it's creating this, shifting it to the red spectrum, and you're seeing a lunar eclipse in the red spectrum or going red, then that was my motivation for the magnetic field, and that gives it the reason why it appears spherical, because you've got the inverse of the magnetic field, or the torus. The torus in the middle, it's more dense in the middle.
Okay, I need some translation here. I apologize. So, a floppy disk, in my mind, in 1992.
Yes, it's one of them. It is one of them.
What the hell? It's not. That's not transparent.
Use that as a filter.
No, it's magnetic. It's magnetic.
Magnetic. Yeah.
It does sun emit through it, basically.
That's why.
But
when
hang on,
you put the
D.
magnet close to it, it'll erase it. As the
He's using things like polyester, smoked glass, and he's just seeing which is of it. Yeah, which is going to be the best for a solar filter.
Okay. So I'm sorry. Okay, please forgive me.
Filters.
Okay, please forgive me. Are you are you holding up a floppy disk in front of your eyes?
Yes, using it as the medium for the lens.
I can see.
Okay, stop, Aaron, shush.
No,
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. Are you taking stop?
For that.
Are you? I know, right? Are you taking something out of the casing? Like, are you breaking this down to what's inside?
Yeah, it's the disc, the physical disc inside. Yes, not the. It's the big floppy 3 1/4 inches. Not.
Thank you.
But Gleam, to do what though? Because I don't. I've seen many alleged lunar eclipses, but I don't need a filter for that. It's usually at night.
Hold on.
Yeah, no, solar eclipses that he's talking about.
I was talking about the lunar eclipse.
Yeah, no, that's what I was talking about. Was caused by the magnetic field polarizing the light.
Okay. Gotcha,
and
gotcha.
if the magnetic floppy
Hold on,
disk
Brian.
does the same.
Hold on.
Yeah, if the magnetic.
You're roboting, Brian. Come back.
I can't understand you.
Yeah, Brian,
right?
you
Because
got
of the-
Brian. You're really bad.
Gleam, you were getting more at the cause of that alleged shadow. Where,
Yeah,
I was
well,
just
that would be-
doing the direct observation, asking, why it doesn't go black.
Yeah, that would be a
I didn't know
viable
you were
cause.
dealing with a specific video as well.
Well, the cool thing
so-
is when I looked into it, previous flat Earth models have used Ketu, Rahu, to actually hide it's the invisible body. Albeit, I mean, if that sounds ridiculous to globe earthers saying that there's an invisible planet up there, look into the Planet 9 hypothesis, because they're saying that there's a similar thing. There's a planet there on the outer edge of the solar system that we can't physically see, but it's definitely got gravitational effects because it's flipping.
What do you think, Gleam? For goodness sake, what do you think?
Those are the things that they talk about when they're not on camera or not trying to get peer reviewed. These are the subjects that are in the back rooms. These scientists know these things. They leak it out little by little on different sources, but the information is out there for you to go look at.
Wasn't that how they found Neptune, right? There were this invisible planet, or they showed us a picture of Neptune. Because they're like, oh, well, this other gaseous bullshit that we made up the math isn't working on it, right? The math doesn't work, so they made up some more math and called it Neptune.
Like Dave Rakia just said there, imagine you knew you were dealing with people who already knew the truth and they were fucking winding you up all along. Now, would you be happy with just debating millions and who are just defending the lie, right? Or would you want to, into your natural curiosity, want to get to the bottom of things? You know,
drop and rejoin, Pete.
You're gonna have to. Yeah, it's the stream is a little bit laggy right now, Pete.
But that's with the assumption that we're supposed to figure everything out, and I don't think we are. I think there are supposed to be things that are unknown. That proves a higher being in my view.
If you're there being Dave,
Pete,
and you said yourself,
Pete, you're roboting, Pete. Drop and rejoin.
No, I understand. I'm just talking about the
knower
knowledge, all knowledge. Not any man can't know everything. I think that is what I'm coming from.
All right, hold on a minute,
what
Pete.
we can know, though.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Pete, please drop and rejoin. You're roboting real quick. That's why I muted you. All right, go ahead, Jeremy and Ricky.
Well, I'd like to make one point real quick. I'm sorry, Jeremy. I'll be real fast, but let's not forget. You know, there's obviously some, whatever you want to call it, electricity, for the lack of better terms, in our atmosphere, which combined with pressure, heat, you know, all the variables that we are known, right, including all the unknown things that are causing all these colors and how light works and propagates and refracts and blah blah blah. So don't forget about the electrical part of it and the magnetism that we know has effects also.
Now, Rocky has said there's some things we can't know for certain, and I'd agree with that. However, there's one thing we can definitely know for certain. That is if the water is bending or not. Still water, you know, bending towards the globe.
You just contradict yourself, Jeremy.
Or if it's flat, which is why I desperately wanted to talk to Brian about the what he's going to do with this fishing line. How'd I contradict myself, Pete?
Well, you said what Rakia said, and you agree with that. And then you went the opposite side. So just letting you know that.
No, there's things
we can't know all things. We can't know all things, but we can know the most logical things and the things we're supposed to know about, which very simply is water. I mean, it's all around you. You can test it so easily. You know, it doesn't bend that the way they say.
What is water, Dave? What is the water if it's so easily understood?
I think water was here. I think water is the medium, right? It's everywhere. I would say we're almost in a bubble, so to speak. Our atmosphere is trapped in an ocean of water with oceans within it, lakes and streams. The land rose out of it. But I think the surrounding all around us is basically a bubble. I would say the firmament is what it's called. But
excellent.
I think everywhere around on the outside of that, whatever you want to call it, I'll call it firmament, would be water.
Nah, it came in comets.
But consider this, right? Consider this: water is elemental, and if we take water and we invert the M, we get a W. If we take the water, we invert the W, we get an M, and that's matter. And when we arrive into this world, this physical world, in a sense, right?
It's not matter. It's not matter.
Hang on, please.
It's not matter.
Hang on, please.
It's not matter.
Why are we?
You have to have two T's. You have to have two T's.
That's the center, and matter is at the heart of physical world. So
you have to have two T's. Where do you get the second T from?
Why would you have to be so rude? And
all these word games, like in Russian, vodka is water and vodka is alcohol.
Dave, and asking him to consider something. And
it's almost the same word.
There's no time for that anymore.
Okay, hold on real quick. Pete, if you
No, you hold on.
no,
Let me
no,
finish
no,
my sentiment, Travis.
no,
Dave,
Pete, listen,
when
no,
you
Pete.
turn the W from water into
Is
the
this going to
M,
turn out to a
up and
half
down.
hour one-on-one? Where
Well, we don't have to be so argumentative. You can just take what Pete said and not
Can you come in and
comment
ask
on
these
it
people
and
to
just
shut up,
know that
please?
you don't agree. I mean, we don't have to disagree with everything Pete says. You know?
Matter
Get
is
Russell
Latin
back
and Greek
in and
for
have an
mother.
argument with him,
Right?
or do you want to let me
Hello.
respond with Dave here?
Matter is Latin and Greek for mother, just like pater is Latin and Greek for father, where we get
Right.
pattern, matter.
So it's elemental, and or when the waters break,
Okay,
or
stop.
into.
Stop. Okay, listen, stop. You
interrupting
cannot.
me,
Okay,
man.
listen, hold on.
Listen,
you cannot.
You're
Okay,
on a
Pete.
break here. Take your break and listen for a minute, Travis. Go on mute.
Listen,
Now, Dave,
listen to me real quick.
when
Okay,
we
listen.
think about our true
It's
nature
basic
as
English.
flat
It's
earth
basic English.
No, it's not,
Stop
Travis.
talking,
It's not
Travis.
basic English. No, it's not.
Am I muted? Am I muted?
You're
or
not.
something?
You're
I
not
can hear-
muted, Pete.
I can hear you.
Look,
Why
we
is
have the
Travis
word
talking over
tile.
me then?
Someone
And I
tell
would
me
have been
what a
finished by
tile
now,
is and how
Brandon.
it's
I'm getting
defined. I
ahead.
bet you'll get it
Why is
wrong.
Jim
One
objecting?
word,
Why is
tile.
SC Montreal doing the
Because
same
it's all
people
word
objecting?
games here.
All
I'm
right.
trying to
Pete,
demonstrate that
Pete,
even
Dave,
if
I'll
you
talk
think
to you
you know a
directly.
word, sometimes you don't. What's a
If I was
tile?
having a drink
What
with
does the word
somebody here
tile
having a
mean?
similar.
All right. Now,
Pete, it'd
now
be
he's
interesting if
ranting.
these
So
guys-
I muted you, Pete, because now you're just ranting.
Brandon, it'd be interesting if folks opened up an etymological, we'll call it dictionary, whatever, because it just shits yourself, Travis. When you look up the history of words, yes, it's basic English today, but the formation of the language is the formation of life. Like
Listen. We are all empirical scientists here. Okay. So two things on Pete's etymological statement. One is, why are you inverting the W? Why? Right? Okay, you can tell me.
Why?
Hold on. Just no. He says invert the W. Why?
Okay, why add the tail?
Okay,
why
stop.
add the tail to
Just
the J?
wait. Here's my second objection.
Okay.
In English, when you have one letter followed by an E, it should make the previous vowel long, right?
God,
I know the English is jacked up, okay? But matter has two T's. Water has one T. If
Matter.
Okay, shush.
M-A-T-E. Hang on.
Shush.
M-A-T. Brandon, can you show Pete Chase some respect and allow him to talk for a reasonable amount of time to make his point?
Well, let him finish, though. Finish, Travis. Finish your statement, and then you can respond, Pete.
Yeah. It's just real quick. Okay. I get this whole discussion. I really do, but I'm just trying to be the devil's advocate here. Okay. If we have strict English and if we have strict Latin, which is what mater is Latin, there's one T. But in English, if you have one T, it's mater. So it's not matter. So there is no equivalence. Okay,
Water.
there is.
Travis,
All right.
your name, and the rest of the
Hold
world
on, Aaron. Go ahead, Pete. Respond. Or go ahead.
This is ridiculous that I'm getting hung up on this point. When we think everything in this world is reversed, first of all, there's a deeper reasoning behind that. But when you take the word matter, maternity is where we all were birthed, right, Travis? What I'm making is not a specific point, and you nailing me to the origins of everything. I was making a general point to Dave, right? When we come to flat Earth, I certainly myself and lots of the rest of us came from a material only Big Bang existence to something immaterial. And water represents our arrival to the material. That's all. That's all I wanted to say. I would have been finished fucking ages ago. I got muted in the meantime, and I could easily talk about this. Travis.
There was 5 people talking over each other.
What's the first
Can I make a massive point, please?
What's the first
123 people watching and only 40 likes, and no one's hit the super chat in the past hour. What's going on? Crazy.
Unacceptable.
Hey, what's the first sign in a female when she's about to
Mate. M-A-T-E, not matter.
Birth. Okay.
Maternity.
The water breaks, right? The water breaks.
The levee breaks. Shout out to Led Zeppelin.
That's right.
Where are we going with all this? It seems it all seems very ethereal to me. Like so
I'm going to
what?
bring it back to flat
you
water.
You can make
When the water
questions
breaks, it's
or
flat.
make connections
Save
out of
us,
any
Brandon,
Gleam.
if you try
Save
hard.
us. You're our only hope.
I'd like to
blame
take
Dave
one.
Racky alive for that.
Hold on, guys. You guys are all talking over each other. Hold on.
Yeah, it's totally related, but yet 100% unrelated to the show. Yeah.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out what the point and what can I learn from any of that was just
twist
said.
every W upside down to make analyze every word, it's the end. It's over. It's game over.
Let's talk about
If your words are well defined, used with good intent and clearly, then they shouldn't be reinterpreted and people saying, well, don't you really mean this? No. You know, that's half
And
the
now
problem.
Jimbo is going to talk
Now,
about
here,
the giants
can I
that once
finish a
roamed the
thought
earth.
without being interrupted? I barely get a minute. The
Before you
next
get
thing I
onto
want to
the
say is
giants, unmute.
not only is you know, twisting letters no good, but not really understanding the definition of a word in English is a problem. If I ask you what a tile is, Pete, please tell me what a tile is from Greek. T-I-L-E.
Spell it.
Pardon me?
What a tile? T-I-L-E.
A tile. Yep. Like people think.
Before you answer, Pete, hold on.
I consider that.
This conversation between Pete
Let
and
me consider that. Go on
Jimbo.
mute and let
Hold
Brandon
on.
speak, and I'll go on mute and come back with my answer.
I don't want any.
Well,
I
my
want you
point
guys
is
to work this out. Listen to me, Jimbo. I want you guys, you and Pete, to go at.
This is for everyone.
And
There's
let
1
these
minute
two
to finish my line.
No, you guys go at it because Pete wants to have a discussion with you. You guys have it first.
Okay,
talk during the discussion.
Yeah, tile
Thank you,
simply
Brandon.
means
Give
the
us
cracks
10
between.
minutes. Off you go, Jim.
No, I'm done. But tile is the cracks between the little squares or material that you put between these little lines. The tiling is the lines themselves, the cracks. So people think the tile is a little square. It's not.
What are you talking about, Jim?
The word tile.
But what? Yeah, we can all equate to a tile, a bathroom tile, for instance. Are you asking me why?
Yeah, but you think it's a little square, and it's not the square. It's the cracks that run between the tiling. That's what the tile actually is.
The tile is the
crack.
object that's hang on. The tile is the object itself that fills the gap, right?
Where the grout goes, he's talking about, Pete.
The gap is the tile.
That's not the tile here. The tile itself is the slab itself.
And it's an error.
Well, that's fair enough, Jim. Hang on. What point are you trying to make, Jim?
Semantics.
Yeah, if we have to turn every W upside down, push every number 3 to the letter I to make a letter B, and interpret everything, we will never go nowhere.
When I kiss your lips.
Hey, guys, please.
Jimbo.
Let me ask him a quick question. Let me ask everyone a quick question.
On the tile.
Why
Hold on,
is
Pete,
a
if I
well?
could address him real quick.
Why? Hang on, please.
Well, but you
I
had
didn't
your
get
chance.
to say
Now it's my
anything.
chance.
Jim is
Hold on, Aaron. Hold on. Okay, listen. Pete and Jimbo are having a discussion. Please be
I
quiet.
work with weeping tile all day long.
I don't care. I don't care if you work with fucking tile from the pyramids.
And you're frustrating the fuck out of me.
Just let them have this discussion and get it out of their system, please.
Okay, I know. I'm with you, bro.
All right. Go ahead, Pete.
Right. I know what you're talking about, a tile, but if you're talking about the word itself and what a tile represents, well, it is something specific. I would ask you, Jim, why is a well so cold when you have to go down? The L represents the lower aspect. Now, also, why is a bow L the lower aspect of our being? Do the letters used to make these representations of, the material aspects of our being signify anything? Are they constructed in a specific way as opposed to a broader explanation, which everything occurs just via random evolution of interactions over the years? There's no meaning to anything. What do you think is more likely?
I'll start with the easy question first, the one about the well. Why is the water cold in the bottom of the well? It's a physical rule. It's written down in a lot of places. Evaporation causes cooling. And in the well, there's no fire or basic heat except some places where you have your.
Why is it called a well, Jim? Is the bigger
why is
question.
it
The
called
well
a
itself.
well?
L, right? L is the name for God, right, Jim?
Yeah,
Jews?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up, and in
You
some
know,
cases,
Jim, you
I
know the
know some
72 names for
definitions,
God.
and some I don't. A
Yes,
wall,
Jim. Is it? You told me
hotel,
that, and the
Hebrew,
Jews were allowed to say
Listen,
71
okay,
names, but not one name.
listen, Pete.
Who's interrupting
Hold
there?
on, hold
Brandon,
on, hold on, hold
take
on.
the
No,
rest of them,
please,
please.
please,
We're not
Travis,
going
please,
to
just let them finish.
Okay.
Please.
Okay, Toy.
Just let them
Okay.
get it out of their system. Go ahead.
Right. It's not out of my system. I'm just saying to Jim, did you not say to me back in Pancho Pizza, and I learned this from you, 72 names for God, the Jews can say every one of them except one.
Well, the only reason they can't say the one of them was because they were murdered for saying it. If they were caught saying it by Gentiles and Pharaohs.
And what is that name, Jim, if you don't mind me asking?
Elyon.
Can you spell
Hameporash,
it?
my mistake. It basically means Hameporash, warm in the heart and mind, basically.
That's
Translated
very
directly.
interesting, Jim.
So his
That's very
absolute
interesting. I
name
could
is
quiz you along.
Elohim
We're limited in time.
Hameporash Elyon. Is the explicit name of God, if you want it heard.
And El is the Jewish God, right? El.
Yeah, El means on top of or up high.
So if we apply it to us, Jim, we have three separate aspects: immaterial, the material, and the bridge between the center L would indicate a lower aspect, a material aspect, right? So the letters become important. If I asked you to draw three X's out in a row,
it may
what
be
would
hard
you get?
to believe, but our language actually comes from, well, a series of basically lines with little ticks at the end, pointed in different directions. Cuneiform. We don't even
Meaning
recognize
though,
it as letters and characters. But I don't
the
care if
idea
you want
comes first.
Phoenician,
You
Hebrew,
would-
whatever, pictograms, they all basically came from that.
Are we in a devolved, Jim? I ask you seriously: are we in a devolved state? Do our ancestors
No,
come from a higher sort of place?
I think God made this place for us. It took giants and titans during the building. Things went a little wrong. Maybe that was part of the plan too. You can't know. And these giants and titans got laid down because this place wasn't made for them. And besides, they were eating everything God created and destroying it. So we're walking
That's
on
which God then? Which God?
giants
Maybe
and
El.
titans
Maybe
that
El is
were.
not the only God, Jim. Maybe we're not the only bubble. Whoever mentioned bubble
Yeah,
earlier on
absolutely.
Daybreak, yeah.
Look, if there were, titans 1,200 miles tall, A, we ain't on a ball, and B, this plane extends way farther than anyone could conceive.
Well, I
If
don't
this
agree with
place
your
was covered with water and you had 3,000 mile tall seahorses here, then things are on a scale that we can barely comprehend.
3,000-mile seahorses. I'd love to see one of those.
You
I'd love to
betcha.
jock one of those on the white horses right outside of Kilkee in Ireland.
Zoom
The
out
West
and
Coast gets the my waves.
the overall of South America. You'll see the
Let me
basic
say
shape of
this.
the seahorse, and a few other continents have the same basic shape of the seahorse. Not all
You
of
may
them.
think I'm joking. You may think I'm joking when I talk about Jock and the seahorse, and I was in a way, but I have my own dragon in the sky, and that's where we're going back to, right? That sort of wondrous fantasy realm, right, Jim? But my point about the
Not
English language, then, maybe
Dragon,
it was given to us by.
as real as anything else.
Well, it's all impressions, right? The same energy is emanating everywhere, and it's spinning. Something is spinning. We can't deny that. But just getting back to, and we let other people talk there. I'd be happy to go on mute. We could have a very reasonable conversation, right? But my own idea is, Jim. Well, however tall, high trees, right? They held up the barrier. They defined Earth, right, within this material environment,
They had
which
to
is the
have a
waters
certain
beyond.
ratio at the base.
And that was cut.
That's
It was
all.
only cut on one side though, Jim. On the other side, it's in all its flow, right? So the best I can figure, if you ask me to pinpoint in as few words as possible my position on Earth, I would say, well, the Earth is a globe and it's spinning because
we might
I'm
be
thinking
on
of Earth in that sense, a different sense.
where the actual core of the main tree is farther over from us. We could be on one of the limbs that is upward pointing and has been topped off.
It's true, Jim. It's true, but what's the best we can do, I guess? I say it's follow the clues. On that note, thanks for the 10 or 15 minutes. Obviously, we could talk about any of these areas for much longer. And I would love, like you did with the image the other evening, Brandon, to maybe venture into some of these areas.
The Norse belief is that we're living on Odin's eyeball, surrounded while the ice wall would be, his eyelashes and other stuff. And
that's what the one eye symbolism is about, Jim, and the Oculus mosaic.
Yeah, if in fact we were, say, on Odin's eyeball, then how big was Odin?
Well, how big are you, Jim?
Eyes, usually.
How big are you, Jim? Are we all just as big as we are small?
The whole plane that we have a concept partially of now, a limited notion of, I'm pretty small.
If Brandon would do me one favor and post for the audience outside just what I just posted there. Jim was talking about Odin's eyeball. Say what you see, friends. This is what's on the floor of Chambers Street subway station beneath WTC1, right, of 9/11 fame, where two became one again, right? And we rose up for the T as opposed to going downwards for the L, the material. But yeah, I'd like more chats like this with you, Jim. I like what everyone is now constructive. Right?
All right, cool. That was good. Jim, any last words on that little discussion there with Pete? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, just don't try to tell me what I mean when I'm saying stuff. And that, well, because I say I don't know what the stars are, I don't know what the barrier is, I don't know what's above it, and I don't know what ether is, at least by modern concepts. Like, I have old school definition for ether, and those are points that always seem to be at issue. I know 9/11 was staged, but for you, anyone who says, well, your statement, no one died on 9/11, I kind of don't think that's really a strong possibility. Some died, maybe not thousands like they say, but almost.
Why would any have to die then? Why would any have to die?
Well, accidents happen. If you're blowing up, look, these firefighters were in the alley talking on a phone and kabang, they could have been at the wrong place, wrong time, and just been blown to smithereens.
That imagery was prepared a year in advance, Jim. Kid A by Radiohead was the soundtrack.
I know you. Listen, guys. I think you guys could go on about this subject for a long time.
This is crazy.
And I'd like to give you time.
Brandon, that's my final word.
Just hear me out here, guys, because I'd really like to hear you two discuss that topic sometime at length, because you both have pretty passionate opinions about it. Maybe we can do that sometime in the future if you guys are up for it. You seem to have a fundamental disagreement.
Okay, listen, real quick. I'm sorry. Listen, real quick.
Fireside chat.
Listen, real quick.
Go ahead.
Okay. If you are going to allow Pete to express his interpretation of reality, it has to be to a kindergartner, because I have been listening for at least over 2 years and I still don't get it.
Travis,
okay?
Does anyone get it?
What I'm saying is, I'm going to say it right now.
Dean gets it, Travis.
Hold on.
Dean gets it. Ask him.
Tell him one more time.
Shush.
Let him finish, Pete, please.
Yes, thank you. Please, okay? If this happens in the future, you have to start out, Pete, and you're going to like this, at ground zero. You're going to have to start out at the basics, the very rudimentary, mean level, and start from there. And don't assume we know anything, because I don't know what the poop you're saying. And I'm trying, man. Listen to me.
You're trying.
Listen, I'm trying. So all I'm saying right now, while Brandon, listen, shush,
will be able to tell you my fucking picture of things.
Just wait. Okay, I'm on your side, bro, because I've said things. Okay, listen, I've said things to you on my channel that I would like to have you on, and we just never matched up. But listen,
you never got back to me, man.
Yeah. I know. Listen, life is what it is.
Was that my fault?
No. It's not. It's not. Life
Yeah.
is what it
You
is.
know that
Life...
the mirrored water layer destroyed you,
No,
Travis.
no,
You didn't
no,
want to
no,
have it on
no,
air.
no, don't go there, bro. Don't
Yes,
go
it is,
there.
and you haven't spoken about it since.
I have. I've said
What?
enough.
No
I've
one
said
can handle
enough.
the dodo.
I've said enough. I've said enough. Listen, all I'm asking
You
you
ain't gonna be,
for,
man.
listen to me. All I'm asking you for is when you make a statement A, that you have an evidence of A. Because what you do is you say you flip the W and it becomes an M, but you haven't proven why you've got to flip the W. Okay? Listen to me. You say you flip the W to prove the M, but you haven't proved why you got to flip the W.
I didn't expand upon why you can flip the M into a W and vice versa, and why a W is a double V, and why Eve is a V in the center of two E's, right? Whole E, spirit, Travis. I didn't expand into that, but I wasn't aiming a comment at you. I was aiming at a comment that Dave made, right? And my recognition that there is an immaterial nature to us, but when we arrive into this material world, water is the first thing we encounter via the matter. And there is that connection ultimately. And I was going to expand upon something else. As I asked you, put down 3 X's and you will find, I'll tell you the answer, you will find a W and an M overlaid. This is all purposefully done, right? Because there's a structure and there's a rhyme and reason to our language that we speak, right? Because remember, we are greater than the material.
Everything after the S, right, Pete? So
Doesn't matter. I mean, it takes expanding upon.
Everything after
And
the
I'll go
S
on mute. I
symbols
know I told
came later. They all came later. Pete, I have a question about you from the tree. You're talking about the tree. Do we know what kind of tree it is, or do you have any?
It was a poplar tree, a poplar, Poplar, poplar.
I mean,
Christmas tree, Christmas tree.
Hey, easy guys, easy.
I was poplar with the Magnolia Sisters.
You guys, easy.
A marijuana tree.
Come on, SE, come on. So
it's a pine tree, right?
Screwdriver.
Hang on, please.
You guys,
let Aaron get it out, guys.
Everybody on the panel, shout out.
Pete,
SE Montreal, I want to see your face because you're
Pete Sullivan wrote about the poplar tree.
Guys. You guys, I'm on the same lines as Travis here. We're gonna throw a couple
all the
screwdrivers
fucking
into Pete
scoffers
while he's back
terrible.
quiet. Okay, we're gonna throw a couple screwdrivers in there, so he'll come back a little bit more basic. So, what kind of tree? Pete said he doesn't know. I'm gonna say, hey, Pete,
right?
Do
Christmas
you
tree,
think,
a pine tree.
Do you think it was an oak tree?
Can I answer you, man?
Do you think it was
Can
an
you
oak
see me?
tree?
Aaron, go on camera here. Go on camera and tell me what the delay is.
He hasn't even gotten the question fully out yet, Pete.
Come on, Aaron, get him. Come on, have another smoke. Have another smoke.
Hey, Pete, put your arms up because you're about to get it.
Light up another Marlboro for us, Aaron. Come on.
Do you think it was an oak tree?
I think it could have been an evergreen because they never talked about it shedding leaves.
So Jimbo, yeah. So I'm asking Pete. So now, Pete, do you think it was an oak tree? I mean, oak tree.
So I was right all along, Pete.
Wait, okay.
Was it the tree or was it divine?
Do you think the tree of life was an oak tree?
It's like the American national anthem. Oak, say, can you see?
So Pete talked a whole bunch of shit about Nathan Oakley.
We are offline.
Pete talked a whole bunch of shit.
Are we going to have a real discussion about something, or
it's all hands on deck? It's all
probably
hands on
not
deck right now. Brandon, save us, Brandon.
No, you guys are beyond being saved, Travis.
It's
saving you guys.
Tree of life, Nathan Oak.
It's greatest show ever. I'm just gonna wait till the train crashes.
Let's get a steam of it.
Nathan Oak tree. That's the tree.
Are you still trying to get that fucking question?
Bicycle.
What's going on? This is worse than dealing with fucking a load of
just saw Chad is in the chat. Chad, say hello. Hello, Chad. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, Chad.
Talking over.
All right. No.
This is crazier than a bag of cats.
Everybody can you get everybody just shut up, please? Just please. I'm asking you nicely. Sorry, Pete. Sorry, Aaron. I know that you get yelled at a lot. Does anybody
Can I
have?
make a simple response that's
Come on,
meaningful?
Pete.
And while the rest are true scoffing,
Come on, man.
Let
it was a
Brandon do
private
something.
joke.
Come on.
It was a private joke that most of the people here didn't get, right? And Face 111 was pointing his finger at Nathan Oakley and what's encoded within his name. Now, when he asked me the question about what form the tree took, or what species it was, or whatever, what a pine tree would have been my answer. And just to finish, I always only try to fucking speak for 30 seconds. Just to finish, Nathan Oakley's best friend, Antonio Subrat, was one of the big promoters of No Forest on Flat Earth. When you reverse, why do we need to reverse an M or turn it the other way? When you reverse Superat, you get star I B us or S star I B us. I say R I S star C H us is the divided tree of life.
There we
and
go.
That is the connection.
There we go. Perfect. That is.
And you didn't have to flip
connection.
a W
Son.
upside down.
All right. Nobody say anything else, please. We're going to go to final thoughts at 7:46. The train is completely derailed. It's in the river next to the tracks. It was a fun ride. We're going to have to find our way back home down the mountain through the snow.
Shout out to you.
Let's start off with... we always
if you
start
didn't
off
keep
the
us
top.
under control, brother.
Yeah, I don't think that's possible. I'd have to use the mute button a lot. Bob Dole, why don't you start us off
we
tonight?
have to sort out all the genuine from the
was that?
disingenuous.
Bob, final thoughts?
I think it went swimming tonight for the most
I
part.
just got in a little while ago, right near it sounded like when that train was really going off the tracks and piling up. So I don't know what to tell you, man.
Well, there was some constructive discussion early on, and it got interesting at the end, but I thought it was pretty fun. Yeah, thanks, Bob. SE, what's up?
I'm still laughing. Hey, we had a good time. It was very good beginning. Gleam did very good presentation. We had a good show. Okay, we let off a little steam at Pete's expense at the end, but hey, maybe next time it'll be at my expense. Shout out to Pete.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, SE. Rob, if you're not changing oil or wrenching, you want to give us your final thoughts? No? Okay, we'll come back if you unmute. Rakia. No? Aaron, any final thoughts? You can talk about trees as much as you want.
No, I think I made a small joke, Pete. It was just a joke. But I'm with Travis. When you hear Pete, you have no idea like where he started or where he's going, right? So we're just kind of jumping on that train, just running after. Like I'm trying to grab, but there's no grab bars. You can't get on the train, but you're still running with it. And it ends up with a caboose in your ass. But the train had to start somewhere, like Travis was saying, Pete. So if you could step back through all the time you've been thinking about this shit and possibly bring up just little steps where we could take and be like, all right, I get it. Then possibly shows like this, we could progress easier. Also, with the language that we are taught today, the symbols that we use to make sounds, that's all it is. The symbols we use to make sounds. It's been manipulated, changed, and flipped, and reversed, and it's so much so that we have no idea what language we are speaking. We don't. You go to court, you go to the authorities, they speak a different language than we do. They do, and that's why when we go into their court or their some authority or something, they don't hear us. You can plead and fucking plea all you want. You're guilty because you did not speak their language, because you didn't flip the W, right? And it's just the way it is until we realize
that was a great comment.
More and more. When we realize that more and more, possibly we can be a little bit more mentally free, but physically, nah, we're slaves. So, thanks, Brandon. Good job.
All right, no problem. Thanks, Aaron. And we will go to Jimbo. What's up, Jimbo?
I thought it was a really good show. There was a lot of input by a lot of different people. It just didn't get like, railroaded by Rumpus and just a dogfight, which is really, really nice. I gotta say, in Pete's defense too, all this shit him, me, you, and everyone else is trying to figure out, it can seem that, you or I or even Pete or whatever, seem to be kind of, well, let's face it, wacko with some of the ideas presented. Just because even I don't fully understand, everything about what he's saying, it's not time yet to totally disregard it or anything too, or even mock it for that matter, because we all really don't know and we're trying hard to figure it out. So it's not easy. And as far as the English language goes, it tells you in its definition what it is. It's cursive, and not cursive as styling the letters to have arcs and bends in them, cursive as spell casting, curse, as in spelling, not spelling literally, spelling spell casting. The English language is all about using it for doublespeak. The secret is mean what you say, have definition. Don't frick off on little nonsense to screw around and piss off with people's brains, especially when it comes to, say, science, experimentation, etc. Definitions, leaving out stuff, using wrong formula. I don't know where to begin. But yeah, English, cursive spelling, it's not about writing and having good grammar and punctuation. It's about demons, confusion, abomination. And that's how it's normally used, but it doesn't have to be used that way. And that's about it.
All right, thanks, Jimbo. Jeremy.
Yeah, I just want to say have a good night, everyone.
All right, thanks,
That's
Jeremy.
all.
Cool. Nice, short, sweet. Let's see, Pete.
How long have you got? I didn't fucking get a clear chance to get out a coherent sentence tonight, really, or sentiment more particularly. But I wasn't even wanting to talk about any of these things. I didn't even give my view on what the star trails might be and how any representation that you see of flat Earth in its round form is not right. It's not true. It's everything is oblong, elongated, oval, and it's all about what's happening above. What is the divide between what Liam talks about, these electromagnetic energies coming out in a toroidal sort of form, and what are they dividing us from? When no one answered my question, I look back at chat later on, but what have we replaced the vacuum of space with? In my thinking, saline waters, hey, and then I move on to other things. So when I come in and talk about something in a different matter, I'm getting pulled up by the likes of Professor Dr. Etherban, boy man. Ezzy Montreal is another mocker.
Everybody
I don't appreciate it at all. I'm talking, please. All of these things need expanding upon. I'm always shut down at the very sort of basic levels, even though I'm not even talking about those. I direct my comments to other people. Look at the amount of hours you spend studying the Hebrew Bible, Travis. Look at the amount of hours you spend on the beachfront taking images, right? And you still can't understand over a extended flat plane, right, of water, the horizon rises to eye level and perspective counts. So where the horizon seems to be, right, it's an illusory horizon. Everything beyond that then is water all the way to eye level, which the true horizon is identified at sunset or sunrise, where we identify the mirroring line. But you can't get your mind wrapped around that, where I left that behind. I didn't leave it behind. We incorporate everything into our thinking. A mirrored water layer below leads to a mirror sky above. But the important point is to type probably everyone's independent thinking tonight, of when they expressed it. Yeah, there is a divide between what's going on here and what's beyond, and it of a certain contour, certain constitution, and a certain dimension. All of these factors are important. When it comes to a hall of mirrors, you need to know which mirror you're looking at, because all you can see is the expression, reflection, and unless you know the contour of the mirror, then you won't be able to discern the source. And friends, to end the night, the source itself is identified as Ari Starkus. It's the way it's written now. We understand that that emanates from the center, It's hardwood emanating to create the barrier, the ether beneath, right? We're in a broken system, and also, right, to sort of define, in a sense, our reality here. It is divided without, the divided within. Earth, ether, heart. The bridge is established. So that's where I'm at. But thanks for the time, and yeah, cheers, Brandon.
Thank you, Pete. Apologize if you got cut off a lot or you feel you didn't get enough time. I thought you were in there quite a bit, Pete.
I was. It's okay. It's okay.
All right, Gleam.
Salute to you, Brandon, sir. Thank you very much for your time. I'll try and keep it quick as hell. And I've been trying to answer a question to Travis earlier on. You know where he was saying about we need to buy someone's time to do it. I don't think you do. What I think you need is organization and centralization. Put it this way: the flat Earth model is the main things everyone knows: perspective, device limits, the environment, the topology, refraction, and then you've got the gravity and ether thing. So if you pick out people in the scene, if you look at perspective, Lemon Bird knows a lot about that. Device limits, you've got the likes of Rakia and whatnot. You've got environmental topology, you know, Sky Free. They've been doing the measuring of how waves overlap and actually hide objects. You've got refraction, obviously Etherband Man, Dr. Etherband, and you got ether, in as much as gravity versus ether, the likes of Bob. So if you all got together and put your ideas together into one document, I think you'd organize, and that in its entirety would be the model. But you would have to obviously apply wording, descriptions, as well as mathematics. But either way, that's for another day. Oneness. Take care.
Cool. Thanks, Gleam. F.E. Evangelist.
Oh, can I just say one more thing? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jeremy.
I mean, yeah, we could all put our heads together and you know, try to come up with stuff, but I think what really just needs to be done is we need to measure water being flat or bending. And that would be like the best thing to do for us at this point. That's all.
Cool. F.E. You're a little low. You there?
Yo, hello.
There we go. That's a little better. Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah. To Pete, I would just say I consider we find all of us find what you say somewhat intriguing, but at the same coherent. So
you're breaking up a bit, Iffy.
I might leave it. I'm sort of out in the country, so I'll just say I'm.
All right, we'll save it for another night. Effie, sorry about that.
Save it for a rainy day.
Dr. Professor Etherband Boy.
Oh, where to begin?
Who died?
This has been a fantastic show. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Brandon, for picking up where Ranty has been, unable to carry on his show, and let's see, yeah.
He left off, you mean?
Yeah, well, yeah, all of that stuff. I guess the last thing that was said was what Gleam said, right? So what Gleam brought up, I think to me, mentioned everybody in our circles, right? Everybody who has something to contribute in our circles. But I'm talking about finding someone who can contribute from the other side. And that is someone who is in the field, but who has not necessarily dived into this arena. And in order to procure that kind of discussion, I don't think that someone would possibly be willing to give their time freely. That's why the comment was to, pay for their time. But even Gleam, even if we wanted to pull together Bob and me and Rakia and Sky Free.
Time in the past, Professor Dr. Etherband Boy Man.
I didn't hear you.
I
Pete,
said,
go
have you
ahead.
paid for other people's time in the past, Professor Doctor Etherman, boy man? And I'm sorry, I shouldn't have been.
I have offered. I have offered to George. I have offered to George to pay for his time for
Hey,
I love you,
certain
long
information.
time.
Travis.
But anyway, my point is, even if you were to narrow it down to someone on our side, Skyfree, me, Heath Carmody, Bob, anybody else, that's time. And we all know the cliche, time is money.
Yeah, but not your time. None of you are trustworthy, Travis.
Well,
All right, Pete. Hold on.
I really believe it's work.
Thanks, Brandon. Thank you so much. Great show.
It's
Yeah,
work.
Brandon, can I just check my audio? Am I back or am I not back?
You're back good, real good.
All right, I'll say what I was going to say quickly. Pete, to you, this is just a comment. I think the consensus is we're all a bit intrigued by the stuff you say, but we all find it pretty incoherent. So what I'd suggest is, instead of jumping from Aristarchus to flipping words back to front, then we're on mirrored water layers, then we're on saline water. It bounces all over the place. And I'll give you a metaphor. You're like Batman jumping from rooftop to rooftop to rooftop, getting from one end of the street to the other. But every now and again, man, you've got to stop on a rooftop, go down into the house and explain to us what's in the house. Because we end up at the end of the street, but we're no better off once we get there. So
yeah, but who are you?
Who
are you looking at all of this unfolding? You're not Batman.
Okay, listen, Pete, listen,
stop
Pete.
smoking weed and comprehend what I'm saying, man.
Yeah,
Seriously.
listen to what
Pete.
FE is saying. He's saying
He's
the
right,
right
Pete.
thing.
We love you, Pete, but he's right.
We love you, Pete, but geez, man, you got to nail
Parkour.
it down a bit, brother.
Parkour.
Anyway, I'm out.
All right. Thanks.
Cheers,
FE.
Brandon. Thanks, mate.
Yep, appreciate it. Thanks for coming. Chad,
What's up?
what's going on? You got any final thoughts for the show? Anything to say?
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Awesome. All right. Thanks,
Yeah.
man. Cool.
All right.
Thanks for coming. Brian Leakey.
Yeah, man. Sorry, I lost for a minute. And Jeremy, I think you're the quick point. I think you're right about the I think you're right about doing the line test underwater. We'll go over that maybe next show. But I wanted to end it with a bang. I wanted to end it with a bang, a little bit, and say, we can. It's a little bit speculation, but we could put.
Broken up. I can't hear a word.
I think.
Okay. Well,
I think it's your microphone, Jimbo. I can hear him.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll just make it quick anyway. I think we could use our common sense to. We all know it's not a vacuum, okay? In one way or another, we know besides natural law, common damn sense. Okay, I think I've been wrong about the negative 452 degrees. I think it's negative 252. I'm going to double check into that, but we know that things are going to keep getting colder as we get higher. So we got to think. Okay, let's use our common sense. What goes up there? Okay, what goes up that high? Okay. Helium, hydrogen, okay? We know that that cold air, all that atmosphere, it's still up there. It's just so cold, it's proportional. So it's way, way less dense. But what goes up there, mainly helium and hydrogen, a couple other gases. Well, let's try and do some research and maybe even some experimentation on what happens to them gases when we hit them super low temperatures, okay? There's a whole science sitting right in front of our face, man, with what is actually up there. So maybe we should do a portion of a show on that, man. And but common sense, what goes up there? What's the temperature? What the hell happens to that gas? Okay. All right, but that's about it. Thank you, Brandon, for everything. Appreciate it.
Cool. Appreciate it, Brian. All right. I think that was everyone. Appreciate everything tonight. You guys are fucking awesome. Thanks for coming and making the show.
I don't think we heard from Aaron. Did we hear from Aaron?
Yeah, we heard from Aaron. He bounced up to the top because he put his video on.
Come on,
all right.
You guys are fucking awesome. Thanks for coming to the show. Thanks, everybody in chat. Lots of activity going on there. We'll see you tomorrow night. Same time, same place. And talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you, Brandon.
Shout out to Brandon Toy.
Hey, on.